Call me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah, always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah, with you the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. To forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah, always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah, with you the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me lame. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Oh. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. I can feel it when you're miles away. Yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, oh. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me lame. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Oh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. MLSA, Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, Week 2, Day 2. Today is scheduled scrims, and we have a banger for today's matches. Super excited to
for the first time tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting match indeed. Nefarious and the Survey Corps to kind of start it off in the first series for today, kind of, sparking that heat. As we've been seeing these teams kind of compete in the previous week. In week 1, we've seen the competition rise, and we've seen the macro-micro just increase each day. So speaking about the matches, we have Nefarious and the Survey Corps competing in a best-of-3.
Definitely very excited looking into these matchups. And speaking of matchups here, go ahead and point out some of these keys to victory right as we head into these matches tonight. For Nefarious, if you pay attention here, we do need to see them secure those comforts for Uzumi, mainly that Benedetta, right? We've seen him be a force to reckon with when he does get his comfort, offers a lot of opportunity for the side of Nefarious. Speaking of opportunity, they need to seek this opportunity a lot of times, right? Uzumi from the XP makes his plays, makes those cuts, but they need to find something, right? They need to be proactive on the map when that happens and make a play when they have those numbers swinging in their favor with Uzumi swinging it from that XP. On top of that, they need to be able to be on top of Fushi and Trust in this mid and gold lane. We've seen them struggle, right, when they're not able to rotate to that gold lane and help Fushi be able to win that lane and get online. The same story is true for Trust. When they do secure that early advantage, right, from the mid lane priority, Trust is able to perform, right, able to hold it down until Fushi does hit his power spikes. Speaking of those spikes there, with those objectives, we do need them to be able to play around those objectives and use them as bait. They know they'll be able to force the other side, right, the opposing team, to be in an uncomfortable position with Uzumi with those rotations. But now that we close out for those keys of victory for Nefarious, going to go ahead and move on right over to Survey Corps and what they need to do to secure this win. They need to go ahead and start prioritizing, right, going around Face Ripper and Nateman. We've seen them, right, in those last matches in King of the Hill. Nateman and Face Ripper played amazingly. That aggressive play style that they bring to the Survey Corps suits them so well. And I feel like as long as they keep the draft, right, moving in a direction that allows Space Ripper and Nateman to play to those strengths, play to that aggressive play style, get to that comfort, they'll be in a very good spot. Speaking of good spots, they need to create that pocket space for Tansy, right, the gold laner, to get online as well. We have seen Tansy have his moments in that gold lane when he's given the opportunity to take over those games, right? So definitely want to be able to create some space for him. Speaking of space, want to be able to keep a nice tempo, right? We've seen them. They have a very aggressive early, almost resembling Ackerman, right? That early upspeed tempo. Once they get ahead, they just choke out the teams with those early leads, choking out people. Want to be able to contest those neutrals. They are a fight-oriented team. They're very good in those team fight scenarios. So I feel like they should always go to contest those neutrals and give nothing for free. Since they are so strong in those 5v5s, those 4v4s, definitely something they want to go for.
And speaking of the Land of the Dawn, we are going to jump straight into it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Nefarious versus the Survey Corps, Match 1, Series 1 for Week 2, Day 2, Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. Super exciting time, but a little bit of a look at the draft so far. We are seeing the Kaja being banned out. Definitely one of those flex picks you want to take out nice and early. Another hero as well in that same caliber, the Leomord. And then to top it off, the marksman on the rise, Leslie, being banned out by the side of Nefarious.
Definitely some good bans, especially that Leomord, right? We've seen Nateman perform on that Leomord, almost looking like a master, right, with the horse in hand. Speaking of master, though, Face Ripper gonna go ahead and pick up that Julian. And look, they're gonna go ahead and lock in that Beatrix as well. Two strong picks that they have utilized Face Ripper, normally taking that right when the Gusion isn't on the board for him. Gusion's on the board tonight. It was free, so a little interesting. Maybe something different, going a different direction. Not going to lock in that Gusion that we know him so well for, but we did see them perform on the Julian in the previous events.
Now, looking at the draft, a lot of strong meta picks were taken off of the table, and you got to respect both teams for kind of sticking toward that meta and being up to date with the patch notes. As we all know, we are kind of currently teaching teams and having them kind of progress through the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy to practice for up-and-coming events for North America, such as the NA MPL, which may be right around the corner, knock on wood. But Definitely a beautiful draft indeed, as Nefarious does take up that Valentina. Definitely one of those heroes you have to watch out for, as you don't want to pick any ultimates that she can use at her disposal. She already has maybe a little bit of Namir's passion from the Beatrix, but not really able to capitalize maybe too much off of the Julian, so it might not be the worst option yet. But Vic, wasting no time picking up that Karina, one of the junglers you've kind of seen used a little bit more often in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy.
Definitely, we have seen it being used more often, but something we haven't seen being used often, right? The Uranus being locked in by the XP laner for the side of Nefarious. A very strong pick, right? I think it's a great pick going up against TSC. We do know they like to slot in a lot of those heavy cutting ability XP laners, right? Putting that into the hand of... Oh, sorry. Incorrect. They're actually looking at Nefarious. They pick up the Uranus for the side of Nefarious. That does fit their place out there to be able to cut into those lanes. Definitely going to help them get online, especially put that in the hand there of Trust. I believe that is. That's what kind of confused me there. The name change tonight. I guess ignore this name is accurate. But instead of the Benedetta going to lock in the Uranus, something else that I feel like will fit his playstyle, right? He does play very well cutting those lanes. So I think this was an excellent pickup from the side of Nefarious.
Now, speaking of Nefarious, we do see a lot of magic on their side, so they're going to have to kind of balance this out with a little bit of physical heroes. But we do know they have Uranus as the XP lane, able to provide those cuts. Sustainability is also there, and also being able to provide the peel and slowage for the team. But we need to see a tank. Who are they going to slot in that roam position? You have some options. Looking at what you're going against, you can still go a hard CC tank, because you don't really have much CC on the side of Nefarious right now. Yeah, you have the slow provided by the Valentina, provided by the Uranus, but you need some sort of hard set to kind of mix it all together. Looking at the side of TSC, the Survey Corps, they have the frontline capability provided over there by Fredrin. We know how well he can get into there, take damage, and also kind of disrupt hero skills with that energy eruption. You have Julian for some additional CC with a fast cooldown rate at that, and then you also have the AoE damage provided by Beatrix over there, a marksman who scales with time and can definitely be a menace to kind of go against if you let her pave that way in that early game.
Definitely can pave the way in that early game. But speaking of some of these bans here, take note, TSC has already picked up the Beatrix, right? Leslie being banned from the side of Nefarious and Wen being banned in return from the side of TSC definitely going to limit out the pool, right, for the side of Nefarious, what they're going to put in that gold lane. They're going to have to find something to respond. We do know Claude is available, right? Picks like Bruno, potentially even a Clint, right? Maybe you can throw in some burst there. I wouldn't be surprised if they take Claude. Claude typically does get paired up with that Karina. Definitely wouldn't be a bad option for them to pick up. But speaking of pick up, we do see the Atlas get banned. Like you said, they do still need that roam, and TSC is going to go ahead and deny that, which is going to lead me to believe I think Norris is going to lock this Fredrin, right? I think he's going to keep that in for the roam. That'll be interesting to see if that is the case as the draft goes on.
Definitely an interesting draft indeed, and that's one of the cool things about Fredrin. He can be that flex pick, even with Julian as well, and that's what I love to see, especially in the early phase of the draft, is you do not want to be too predictable. But if you are predictable, you want to make sure it's one of those meta picks, such as the ones above. But like we said, there are still some options on the table, and the last ban for the side of Nefarious is going to go ahead and take out that support role, going to lock out that Mathilda. Looks like their plan is they have a little bit of CC, they have some frontliners, but maybe Nefarious is thinking that the Survey Corps is going to go more of that support route for the roam position. But you do see Nate Man kind of hovering over who he's going to possibly go in the XP lane, which kind of makes you question where Norris is going to go. So this might be Norris running Fredrin on the roam, possibly, or even in the jungle. But no, as we're talking about junglers, the meta jungler himself from previous patches and previous seasons, Ballman, making that special appearance, and we will see a lethal counter and a possible retribution today in the Land of Dawn.
Definitely good potential there. Also potential to see this Bruno. Like I mentioned before, that's kind of where the picks are leaning towards, right? The Claude, Bruno, Clint right now available for Nefarious. Some of those good marksmen to be able to pick up. Now looking at the Claude, that would be a great answer, right? A great pairing for this composition. We see them also hovering Lolita, a very strong pairing with Valentina, right? Lolita, Valentina, a proven recipe. Good chances. Definitely increases the odds in that mid-roam position. lets you get some strong power, right, in your mid lane capabilities. And I do think we are going to see this Claude potentially, nope, Bruno getting locked in for the side of Nefarious in Fushi's hand.
An interesting draft indeed. As Bruno has been secured, this will finalize the draft for the side of Nefarious, taking up that Lolita, having that Numenon Blast for a little bit additional CC, and like we said, they needed a hard set, and what an excellent pick at that. But you have to watch out for Fredrin, rushing in with that Energy Eruption, that knock-up to try and cancel Lolita. Not only Fredrin, but also Julian, with the enhanced chains, may be able to do the same thing. So you have to see some good placement from Summon Approve over on Lolita, and make sure that his placement is key to providing that opportunity for his team. And you have to just be careful. Do not let them cancel your Numenon Blast, and that might be one of the key things to Nefarious kind of paving the way in the early game.
Definitely can pave the way, and it does look like that Noise is going to keep that Fredrin on the roam. Yupo and Mar probably going to go for the switch, right? Yupo's the XP, Mar is the gold lane, so I'm expecting to see that switch, and yes, just like that, to go ahead and swap, and that does confirm we are going to see a Fredrin roam in the Scrim Academy for the first time, actually, I believe. I don't think a Fredrin has been ran in the roam until just now.
You know, we thought about it. It was like, is that Fredrin Roam? Is that Fredrin XP? Is that Fredrin Jungle? And that's one of the things about flex picks, is it can go anywhere. And this is definitely that case being proven right now, as Norris is going to lock that in as their roam. We know he has the frontline capability. He has the beefiness to be able to take that additional damage. You do see the concussive blast on him to kind of top off that defensive stature. But like we said, they are going up against a pretty solid lineup. You have Uranus with the magic damage, the slow, the peel to be able to get in and out. You have Lolita for some additional CC. You have Karina kind of close out that Karina assassin that we've seen dominate in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, but you have to be careful. There's a lot of frontline on the side of TSC right now. They have Ballman, they have Fredrin, they have Julian, and they have Bakito, a powerhouse of frontlines, and if you're not careful, you might be running into a brick wall.
They could be running into a brick wall. But, you know, we did see, right, funnily enough, the other team, TSC, have to run against a composition similar to this, right? A lot of disruption in that front line. And we've seen Norris find success on that Lolita with a Numenon Blast with those flicker backward ult, right? Getting huge sets on those front lines. So maybe if Nefarious Roamer Summon Approve can maybe tap into his inner Norris, he might also be able to find success. We do know this can go one or two ways. Speaking of going one or two ways here,
both teams kind of fighting it out. Valentina providing that Horrify, but it looks like the Lethal Wonder did go into the hands of Nefarious over on Vic with the Karina Jungle. A little bit faster of a retribution and zonage from his team. But an interesting thing indeed, on the bottom side, you're seeing two heroes that can pretty much get that job done. Instead of split pushing, they can also provide sustainability, but Bakito having a little bit more of that burst damage and knock up at his disposal, but definitely a good evened out kind of situation on the bottom side. But I gotta say, looking at the gold lane, a possible gank by Norris rushing into Fushi, but a little too early and is not really going to be able to make much off that play.
Definitely didn't find much there, but like I said, now we do see Summon Approve rotating up there. They are going to have to play into this lane and help Fushi out. We see TSC trying to apply the pressure. They definitely need to keep that lane in check, right, to let Fushi get ahead, like we stated, in those win conditions. Speaking of win conditions, we do see a little bit of action down here in the bot lane, potentially. Both teams go ahead and retreat off that. But in this bot lane, though, speaking of it, ignore your name, Uzumi. We also need to see him, right? They have the potential for the split pushes, right? Later on into this game, if they can be able to keep the side of TSC distracted, that could be an opportunity for them to win off those splits. Speaking of splitting up here,
a fight going in over on that Turtle. Face we're able to take down the jungler. Vic falls. Ignore over there on Uranus getting a kill, and it looks like Turtle was secured with that lethal counter retribution combo by Nate, man. A 1-for-1 trade in that process, though. Fight not over. Norris kind of taking on 3 members of Nefarious, but deciding to disengage, and that is one of the things that you can do when you're running that Fredrin Roam. You know, you're in that tank position, and right now having that heavy frontline composition is making them have an easier time in terms of zonage for these neutral objectives.
Definitely is, and that's what we said, right? From the win conditions for TSC, contest those neutrals. They are very well adept, right, at forcing into these team fights. They're very disciplined in their team fights. They know how to layer that damage, right? Layer that CC. We've seen them run a comp like this last night as well. You know, like I said, seeing Ripper on that Julian, something we've seen him perform very well on with those chain ultimates. So I'm expecting to see them perform basically the same, right? If TSC can lock that in and keep that pressure up and contesting and winning these fights. Speaking of fights here in the mid, though.
Something to prove. Unable to escape his face, Ripper melts him down over there with Julian, given the kill advantage in favor of the Survey Corps. But you do see Fedrin trying to rush in, using his utility and his ultimate to try and take out Alita over there on Valentina, but unable to get that kill. But nonetheless, definitely a solid foothold for the side of the Survey Corps.
It is a solid foothold. And I mean, you have to give this up, right, to the rotations. Like I said, they contest so much and they just know how to fight so well. Speaking of fight here in the bot lane, it looks like they are maybe potentially going to set up a little bit of a gank here.
Yeah, not really able to make much happen off of that, and that's one of the things with Uranus. You have that sustainability to kind of fight that fight and stay in that lane, and they didn't really have the minions at their disposal to kind of make a play happen. But on the top side, speaking of plays, Karina rushing in with Fushi and something to prove to get the kill over on Mar, which will give Fushi that marksman advantage, that gold advantage over against Beatrix.
It does, and then again, that's something we were talking about, right? Giving that assistance to Fushi, let him get ahead of his enemy marksman, give him a fair fight as he does go ahead and take down that tower. Ooh, gonna get taken out though by Face Ripper as the teams do set up for this turtle here.
Well, they are gonna go for it. Nateman another still over there with that lethal counter retribution combo, and the front line from his team is too much pressure for Nefarious to handle right now. 2-3, only up 1 kill, but up neutral objectives, up 2 turtles. But the gold is still even. It's only one, not even 100 gold difference. It's actually exactly even for both sides.
Yeah, and I mean, and that just says that we probably have a great match on our hand. Both teams finding those trades. TSC finding more of those kills, right? Getting a couple more kills than the side of Nefarious. Also picking up those objectives, but the side of Nefarious is fighting back, right? Getting those towers, getting those gold shields. Speaking of getting things, TSC is applying pressure on that mid lane after picking up that kill on Trust there on the Valentina. So, like we said, TSC applying that pressure in the early game, finding those objectives, finding those neutrals to trade.
Ooh, speaking of neutrals, you do see something to prove in a bad situation as Nateman quickly bursts them down with the assistance of his team, the 4-man of the Survey Corps right now. They were able to push in that mid tower. Yeah, they did lose the top tower in the process of going for that Lord, but they answered back, and that's what you want to see, kind of having a response. You need a trade when you lose something on one side of the map. But speaking of one side of the map, Face Ripper getting a kill on the jungler. Down goes Vic, 1, 2, and 1, having a very hard time getting that farm and getting on line. But fight going in on the bottom side. Fushi caught in a bad situation as well. Norzy getting a kill onto Fuji with the Fredrin. You do see Numenon Blast going in, not able to provide any CC though in that process. Lethal counter popping down. Alita over there on Valentina getting a kill onto Fredrin. Down goes the roam for the side of the Survey Corps, but they maintain that pressure, they maintain that focus, and they are putting Nefarious on the back, and they're forcing them to play closer into their base, which allows these towers to be pushed in as they take the bottom lane.
Definitely. And speaking of playing closer, I mean, look at what we're seeing right now. TSC has essentially been holding hands, singing Kumbaya, but not looking for peace, though, in a 3, sometimes 4-man rotation. And Nefarious never really having the numbers to match up, getting caught out in these 4v2s, right? These 3v2s, even maybe a 3-on-1 here. Speaking of a potential 3 or 4-on-1, we see some action in the top lane.
My goodness, ran straight into that brick wall and wasting no time goes again for another neutral objective. Another turtle with no contest will fall into the hands of Nateman. You are seeing items being picked up left and right. You do see that Bloodlust Axe picked up over there by Paquito. You know, he does have that sustainability at his disposal. Also going a little bit more the defensive route. Ballman full defensive as well with the Cursed Helmet. And then you are seeing Fredrin with that full beefy route too. So they have a lot of defense items. So you're going to have to use some items to kind of burst that down. But fight going in on the top side. Face Ripper rushing in onto Valentina, able to secure the kill. Mara getting the top tower in the process though, and a kill as well. A 2-for-1 combo, definitely increasing that lead for the Survey Corps right now. And on the side of Nefarious, not really a fight they can take. They have to play a little bit safer now as this snowball is starting to pile up very fast. Continuing to rush in, not taking any breaks. Down goes Uranus by the 3-man of the Survey Corps, and they just have complete control of the map right now.
They do have complete control on the map, and the side of TSC knows this, right? I mean, they've been fighting, clashing, getting these objectives basically non-stop since the game has started, finding every hole, every chink in the armor. For the side of Nefarious, we can find the chink in the armor here.
Lethal counter going down by Ballman, able to do some damage on Something to Prove, and Mar finishing it off, able to finish and get that kill. Down goes the Rome. 0-4 and 3 KDA right now, having a very hard time providing that frontline capability, that guaranteed set for the team. And right now, the Survey Corps is definitely capitalizing. They are pushing in towers. They're increasing this lead, and not only increasing lead, you do see Beatrix getting more of that full attack build, has the Blade of Despair already built up, and Malefic Roar to kind of top that off with some pin.
Definitely Mar in a very good position right now. We're only closing in the 9-minute mark. So we're closing in here, though.
Ooh, a great closing indeed. Nateman getting a kill onto Vic. 2 members falling. Fushi's down. Oh, another one. Down goes Uranus. Ignore the name has fallen. 3 members are out for the side of Nefarious right now against the full team of the Survey Corps, and they are pushing in towers. They are now down to only their inhibitors. You do see that energy eruption over there by Norris onto Something to Prove as well. It's a little bit of a flex skill as they decide to disengage and go for this Lord.
They are, and I mean, this matchup is kind of going how I expected, right? I figured that probably the side of TSC would have a great time against Nefarious. When the Scrim Academy first opened up, right, these teams all kind of seemed even, but TSC, a team slowly pulling away, right, from the rest of the mix, proving their strength. Last night in the King of the Hill, taking out 3 teams, no defeats. Ackerman, Dark Immortals, Wavo, you can see the work right now. A team they were kind of neck and neck with, right, when Nefarious quickly falling behind the curve. Nefarious literally cannot find a way to slow down TSC. TSC has been in the charge, been in the lead, been in the front of this game since we hit the land of dawn. Right now, Nefarious needing to find an answer to be able to slow down this, but I don't know if they'll be able to find an answer in time. We're only at the 10-minute mark, and like you said, so far ahead. They already got them down on the inhibitor. Speaking of getting ahead here, though.
You do see Lord pushing in the mid lane. Not Luminous Lord, though, just regular. Maybe able to contest it. Nori's getting a kill onto Ignore, though. Down goes Uranus. Slayed over there by Nor's on that Fredrin Rome. Lord has been bursted out of the game now, but the question is, does TSC continue to fight that good fight? Will they go in for this last inhibitor turret? And yes, they do, but can they take it? Fushi trying to defend, but the sniper over there on Beatrix is too much for him to handle, and they are going to secure another inhibitor. But correction on the bottom side, there still is one last inhibitor to defend, and it looks like Nefarious is not going to be able to push back the pressure of the Survey Corps, and all towers have fallen, leaving them defenseless. Only minions and their tower left, and the question is, can they keep this up? Can they defend? They have a lot going against them right now, fighting a very uphill battle as the side of TSC has all of their towers, minus the top lane losing only 1 tower, and that's a lot of insurance for mistakes. But on the side of Nefarious, they don't have room for error. They have a very small margin for success too. So if I was them, I would definitely say you have to play super safe. Let the minions kind of work toward your favor. Let them be the aggressors. Let them continue to kind of push in. As we know, the Survey Corps kind of feels a little bit more confident. And sometimes that confidence leads to mistakes. And that's what you got to kind of have to watch out for. You do not want to rush in on these 5v5 fights. You are looking at a goal difference of about 11,000. And that is just not the time to clash it out.
It's definitely not the time to clash out, especially with the entire base exposed and open, right? Nothing more than the Nexus, a couple minions, and 5 members of Nefarious to kind of hold this game down right now. But they're in a little bit of trouble. Speaking of trouble here.
We do see Something to Prove trying to give some vision, rushing in, but quickly taking some damage from the side of the Survey Corps. And that's what we kind of said. You are in that situation where you cannot fight. You have to wait and take this gold that they allow you to push in. A lot of teams, when they have this advantage, they make the mistake of being over aggressive and letting the team kind of even out the difference. But you are looking at 11,000 goal difference. That is a lot of mistakes having to happen for the side of Survey Corps for Nefarious to kind of stay up in this game. This is a best of 3 though, and it's not over yet. We have seen teams kind of get that epic comeback, you know, taking advantage of the over aggressive teams, but we know the Survey Corps not really known to make too many mistakes. Able to take out Ackerman previously, and they are the current kings of the hill.
Definitely took out Ackerman and just took out that enhanced lore. And like I said, not a team known to fall into those mistakes. I pointed out already, they're a very disciplined team, picking up so fast in the Scrim Academy. They've learned so much going against some of these good teams that we have to offer. TSC now rising to that status, right? But one of these top teams, they impose so much threat. Speaking of threat, they are going to threaten this record as Lord comes down. They have the potential to go ahead and take out 4 wins in a row. The first, speaking of fights here, though, Weezy.
Ooh, Beatrix getting the kill onto Valentina. Fight not over, though. Tower is getting crashed in by the Lord and the full team of the Servant Corps. And it looks like Nefarious will not be able to defend it. And game 1 goes into the hands with a dominant fashion on the side of the Servant Corps.
Definitely a dominant fashion, and now the new dominant team of the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. That is 4 wins in a row for TSC, the first ever in the Scrim Academy to reach 4 wins with no defeats. Also the first team to break that curse, right? 3 teams before them, 3-0, not able to get it done, sitting at 3-1, but TSC found a way where they have now achieved what we thought maybe not being able to be broken by any other team.
Now, I will say 3 wins in a row, but not 3 or 4 in King of the Hill. So they did break a record, though, not being able to lose. And they didn't just lose against, like, they played different teams each time. And to be able to maintain that record going against a different variety of members is definitely a hard thing to do. But like we said, this is a best of 3. The game is not over yet. The question is, how will Nefarious respond? You let them kind of dominate in the early game, and once that happened, you didn't really see an answer back. So going into game 2, we are going to have to see a little bit more focus on the side of Nefarious if they want to kind of stay in the series and not get swept. But we are going to be jumping back into it shortly. But let's just go back a little bit of a recap, Deku, over on the kind of keys to victory for both teams.
Right, those keys to victory. We did see TSC execute on theirs. Nefarious, they did secure a little bit of comfort, right? Not exactly Benedetta, but something kind of sort in the same realm as the playstyle for Azumi. But something they didn't do right is be able to get Fushi online. Same with Trust. They were not able to protect them. We seen them give it a little bit of effort, right? A little bit of attention to that goal lane. But quickly, right after that, it's like after the tower went down, they just forgot about Fushi. Right, and Mar being able to get all that attention, those 3-man, 4-man rotations, taking out those turrets, it opened up so much opportunity for Mar to be able to farm safely and quietly, while the side of Nefarious didn't do the same for Fushi, right? Didn't have really any room to farm. We seen the map. Just so much pressure from the side of TSC. They were not able to mirror that same effort and going into that match for Nefarious there. But TSC, speaking of their keys to victory, nailing almost everything, right? The aggro play style, we've seen it. Face Ripper, Nateman, like we said, holding hands basically through the whole match, making so many plays, every gank leading to something, a kill, a tower, a neutral objective every single time. No movements wasted, right? All energy producing a positive net game. They did offer the space for all of their players. They kept the tempo, right? We said they need to keep a controlled tempo on the upside for them. They're very fast paced, and that's exactly what they did. They came out and they set that tempo from the jump, and they never let it go, right? They never fell back. They never got lackadaisical. They kept up the momentum from the start to the end, and they contested those neutrals, right? Every single neutral that came up, especially the first one, finding a way to win that. They didn't lose any neutrals that were contested, and they found the kills afterwards, and potentially a tower after every single one. So congratulations to the Survey Corps, definitely nailing what they need to do to win that match. Weezy, not sure if you're having a little problem over there. Can't hear you currently. You might be muted.
Oh, My bad. Like we are back in the land of the Don, though, ladies and gentlemen. Like we said, we need to see an answer over there from the side of the Ferris. Kind of going over those keys to victory. You know, you need to maintain that pressure. You need to maintain that focus. And also, you need to have answers for when a team starts to start that snowball. And the side of TSC, they don't leave a lot of room for errors. So you have to kind of have a slow-paced game. You need to focus over on these objectives. As you know, TSC is going to do that. They play very patiently, and they wait for a mistake to happen, somebody out of place or not focusing on a neutral objective, and they always kind of go for that. They don't miss a beat. And for Nefarious, if you do not want to kind of get swept out of this series, you have to have that same mentality.
You definitely do need to have that same mentality, but I do think we might need to see some changes. Right, from the side of Nefarious. They rely heavily, like I said, on Azumi to secure those comforts and be able to offer that lane cut and that split potential. But going up against a team like TSC, there's not a lot of room to cut, right? There's not a lot of room to make those pushes. We've seen it happen before that, I believe, second turtle, right? Ignore getting picked off on the Uranus in the top side, trying to create some pressure in a way. But the 3-man rotation, the 4-man rotation of TSC there every single time, they're not going to let that happen, right? I think we might need to see a little bit of difference in the draft. Maybe a little less on the split push and maybe go for something like some poke, right? They might need to go for a little more poke, focus a little more on that mid lane capability. If they can get some poke and be able to apply that damage to TSC before that all-in, they might be able to deter that, right? Might be able to keep TSC from going for those all-ins if they can get some poke damage. Speaking of poke damage, we do see Farsi get hovered over slightly there, but they're going to go ahead and dismiss that pick. But I feel like a Farsi pick right there would be great to be able to go up against the side of TSC, a little bit of poke. But it looks like they might go tick for tack and go for the all-in approach that we just seen TSC run, picking up that Leomord and that Grok, a deadly combo indeed.
Now, they do have that Carmilla at their disposal, and, you know, hopefully they can make it work in their favor. A little bit of a flex pick as well. We've seen her in the jungle, we've seen her roam, we've seen her XP, and can kind of get it all done in each of those categories. But like you said, they are going against a heavy frontline composition. You do have the Grok to kind of rush in with that wild charge, and then the Shadow Stampede, the mobility, the damage that Leomord can kind of dish out is very hard to deal with, and one of the best junglers this season. Now, question is, how will TSC respond? We've seen them be more dominant. They had more of the frontline composition for game one, and the pressure was there, and they, you know, played on it phenomenally. But on the side of Nefarious, the problem was kind of getting that roam online, right? We didn't see Lolita able to land those Numenon Blast, and we knew she was kind of fighting that upscale battle, you know, against a lot of heroes that could kind of offset her capabilities. Able to kind of cancel the Numenon Blast with the enhanced chains over there on the Julian, and, you know, not really having the easiest time. But speaking of Julian, Face Rip is going to go ahead and lock that in again, wasting no time. This might be a pocket pick that their team kind of focuses around.
Definitely a pocket pick they can focus around, and I feel like that's a pick that Nefarious maybe, right, should have focused on there. After seeing the Carmilla get picked up, right, I don't know. I feel like the thought process has to go through from the side of Nefarious that potentially, right, the Beatrix, Julian could have got slotted. Maybe at least picking up the Beatrix, right, to deny that pick. Beatrix and Julian pairing so well with Nateman on this Carmilla. They both have insane AoE damage to stack up on top of that, those links, right, that Carmilla can do to combine that damage, share that damage, and split it amongst the members of Nefarious. But speaking of splitting those members, we do see Fushi lock in this Claude in response. The Blazing Duet will come into play in this matchup against Mar in the gold lane.
Now, I'm definitely a fan of Claude. He guarantees you that late game. Lately, we've been kind of seeing the Leslie slotted against him, but looks like Beatrix was kind of prioritized for the side of the Survey Corps, which kind of opened up that opportunity. But the question is, will he be able to perform in it? We've seen the Marksman kind of have a hard time getting online, as the Survey Corps wasted no time ganking the gold lane even before the turtle. So definitely going to have to see Claude play a little safe. Get your farm, get your items, and be that late game marksman your team is dependent on. But in order to make that happen, you know, Claude has the vision, he has Dexter to work at his disposal, he has the mirror image to be able to get in and out of sticky situations, but you still kind of require a little bit of assistance from your team. You need a little bit of rotation, especially knowing that TSC is going to kind of try and rotate around Fushi, but definitely a wise decision indeed. Even if they do kind of gank him, he has things at his disposal to get away.
Definitely does have things at his disposal to get away, but something that the side Nefarious has to do is not let that tempo right from Fushi get away. They did secure, right? We saw them give the lead to Fushi early on in that game. He did get the advantage over Mar, but they just let it go, right? They got complacent and they left the side of Fushi in that gold lane, left him alone, and had to suffer to those 3-man, 4-man rotations from the side of TSC, which put Mar back in the position, seeing as how TSC played, right? Once they got that lead, they kept that up the whole time. Nefarious is going to need to do the same. So they basically need to mirror exactly what TSC did in that early game, right? When they find that early game pressure, that early game lead, need to drive behind that momentum, drive behind who's ever currently in the lead, right? Let them carry that game, carry that pace for the side of Nefarious. And if they can do that, right, I feel like we have a much better game coming out from the side of them in this matchup against TSC.
Yeah, definitely have a good fight ahead of us. I'm liking the way the draft kind of looks for both sides. You have set capability over there by Julian with some knockup, some displacement on the enhanced chains. You have Beatrix who can kind of do it all. Fight from afar, fight from close, AoE damage, and also scales all the way to the late game. You have Carmilla over there with the Curse of Blood, able to stun 5 members and kind of enhance the damage output toward them as well. So definitely going to be a good 5v5 clash ahead of us. But looking at the side of Nefarious, you have Claude rush in with the Blazing Duet, and we're not really seeing too much of a hard counter against it. You do have Rock to kind of rush in with that Wild Charge and provide that AoE damage, that AoE physical burst damage. Speaking of burst damage, though, speaking of the side of Nefarious, they are going to go ahead and lock in that Kagura.
They do lock in that Kagura, and now we're looking at the last 2 picks for TSC. They do need to pick up a Realm currently and an XP. What those could be, not really sure. I was going to look at potentially maybe the Benedetta. We did see Yupo run this Benedetta, I believe, on Ackerman, I want to say, or it might have been Dark Immortals. He did find great success on the Benedetta. We actually have quite a few adaptable Benedetta players apparently in the Scrim Academy. So adaptable, we do see Diggy potentially getting picked up to counter out this Wild Charge with that time journey. That would spell a little bit of disaster for the side of Nefarious, considering that is their only real form of engage, right? At least to set something up for the rest of the team. Benedetta is going to get locked in, and so is that time journey. Going to be a great answer, right, into that composition for Nefarious. But speaking of good answers, the return, the immediate slot, we see Phobius. The demonic force is gonna get picked up to face off against Yupo in this XP lane. Might have been a great return counter pick right there that we just witnessed, Weezy.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. You know, Phobius has a little bit of a skill animation with that demonic force, and maybe Benedetta may be fast enough to kind of proc that passive and dash away, but definitely a good draft indeed from both sides. But like we said, there are some conditions that have to be met. We saw the side of Nefarious kind of be taken out in a dominant fashion by the side of the Survey Corps. So going into Game 2, we need to see them play a little bit safer. Focus on these objectives and work toward the heroes that you drafted for this game. You have Claude over there on Fushi, a late game marksman. Allow him to get to that late game, kind of gank that lane and give some pressure over there on Tamar on Beatrix. You want to kind of stop them from getting those game plans activated on the side of the Survey Corps. But enough about that. We are jumping into the Land of the Dawn. Ladies and gentlemen, Nefarious versus the Survey Corps. Game 1 went in the hands of the Survey Corps, but it is not over yet. Can Nefarious turn the tide and even out the scales?
And they indeed, time will tell. We'll have to see Nefarious, right, pick up on those win conditions like we stated in the first game of this series. TSC, nothing needs to be changed, right, for the side of them. Literally play the exact same. Keep doing what they're doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Make Nefarious adjust to what TSC is doing, the pressure that they are applying. Speaking of pressure, we do need to see those rotations. We already see Diggy, right, Nori's playing, being so annoying in that gold lane. But speaking of being annoying, a little bit of contest here on the Litho. Gonna go ahead and fall into the hands of Nefarious. We do see Chapapi Nono go ahead and rotate over to that gold lane. Like I said, they do need to provide a little bit of assistance to Fushi, especially up against Norris on this Diggy. Those bombs stacking up, that passive, right? The damage increasing over time. Both members of Nefarious feeling it right now. Speaking of feeling it, maybe a little bit of damage here, a little bit of fight going on. They're getting pretty low here. Chapapi Nono is going to get forced to have to back here shortly. Kagura with a little bit of a rotation as well. Nefarious feeling that assistance from the side of TSC in that gold lane right now.
Now, speaking of lanes, looking at the opposing side of the map, you are seeing the Benedetta matched up against that Phoveus, a master against those heroes that utilize dash inside of their kit. But with Benedetta, we have seen her used repeatedly throughout the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy history as one of those heroes who can kind of do it all. You provide the sustainability, you also have the advantage to be able to provide those cuts, those split pushes to create opportunity for these neutral objectives. But the question is, will Yupo be able to pull this off against a direct counter on that Phoveus slotted in over by Ignore This Name on the Survey Core, or on Nefarious?
Absolutely. Speaking of advantage here, something to prove in a weird position. Already called out and used that Stampede. Not going to have an easy time contesting this turtle, but it looks like they might still go for it. But speaking of going for something in the bot lane here, not going to be a fight. Was looking like it, but we do see Benedetta pick up the kill, or turtle there.
Ooh, Face Ripper getting a kill as well. Taking out Liam Moore. Down he goes. The jungler for the side of Nefarious. But an answer back. A 1-for-1 trade. A 1-for-2 trade. 2 members falling on the side of Nefarious as down goes Ignore This Name on Phoveus. Man, what a play. But right now, the Survey Core continuing that pressure that we kind of seen in Game 1 as they are leading in kills and leading by over 1,000 gold already 2 minutes in. Ooh, fight going on. Oh, Grok rushing in, trying to get the AoE damage. Not enough, though. Mar able to burst them down, and this is what we kind of said. The marksman that has a slight advantage over that Claude, especially in the early game. And when your team takes these neutral objectives, it makes it even easier.
Absolutely. And I mean, the story just repeats itself. Speaking of repeating here.
You do see Liam Moore trying to rush in with the Shadow Stampede as he was caught off guard by 3 members of the Survey Corps. But while that is going down, Norzy takes a death, and he is the support. So that will be Diggy out of play here. But 3-3 right now, kind of even in kills. About gold, 1,000 gold difference, still in favor of the Survey Corps. But we are seeing possibly maybe a little bit slower paced of a game, but time will tell. But it can quickly turn into those Heiko games that we've been seeing a lot. A lot of aggressive mentality from both sides.
Definitely an aggressive mentality. And speaking of aggressive mentality, some aggressive positioning here. TSC potentially closing in on this gold lane for a gank.
Ooh, and the gank does succeed as Nate Man gets the kill over there on Chupapi No. And down goes the tower. Mar able to secure it. And that will be even more of an advantage over there for that Beatrix. 4 minutes in, looking at a little bit of these items. You do see the Swift Boots built by the Beatrix. Building some more physical damage. It looks like going for that Blade of Despair nice and early.
Definitely going for it nice and early, and on the way, already 2 Legion Swords picked up as this turtle is spawning in. The members of TSC here ready to contest. We do know they love to fight, contest these neutrals. A lot of damage coming out. The engage look like it's happening here now.
Both teams fighting that good fight, trying to take this neutral objective, but Nateman getting a kill onto Grok. Demonic Forks being procced over there by Ignore This Name on Phoveus. Unapproved, securing the turtle with the Retribution. Phoveus does fall, though, in the process. Kagura getting a kill over on the Beatrix. 1 member down for the side of TSC, but in response, taking 2 members out for the side of Nefarious.
Definitely. And I mean that just speaks to the strength of TSC, right? Every neutral, you can bet your bottom dollar they're gonna contest you for it. They're gonna go for it, and they capitalize and they get the advantage almost every time. Have not seen them really contest and walk away with a bad trade. We've seen them take the 2-for-1 trade there in terms of kills and securing that turtle. They just, I don't know. It's just something about TSC, right, in these team fights. They just know exactly what to do. They know how to maximize what they're setting up for to make sure they win the trade every single time. Speaking of trades, a little bit of engage here, a little bit of poke going on in between these 2 teams as they are jockeying for vision, jockeying for position to open up the map. Speaking of open up the map, we are seeing right Nefarious not sticking to that win condition, not giving Fushi the opportunity to scale up properly. Speaking of scale up, we do see him pick up the DHS now as we cross almost into the 6-minute mark. So there is a little bit of something there coming into the hands of Fushi. The Demon Hunter Sword, obviously a powerful core item for Claude, signaling him heading into that online as they transition over into kind of that mid-game area. But they need to do a better job. Mar definitely ahead as it goes in terms of the marksman and their farming. Speaking of getting ahead here, a little bit of a focus in on this mid lane. Not gonna be able to find anything, but Mar gonna go ahead and transition 4 members again. Look at the rotation. 4 members up there in the gold lane as they look to maybe take that tower, and it's 1 member from the side of Nefarious.
Ooh, we do see the hands change proc by Face Ripper, forcing out that demonic force on Phoveus, but Mar able to take him down in mid ultimate hand, also taking another tower in that process. 7 of 4 in terms of kills, but in terms of towers, they've already pushed in 3 towers for the side of Nefarious. They took 2 in the bottom lane, and also, oh no, actually they only took 1 in the bottom lane and 1 in the top, so 2 towers in their favor as Turtle does spawn in, and they do have the zone. There's a little bit of a conceal play going in on to some to prove, realizing that he is out of place, and down goes the jungler, which will guarantee this Turtle in the hands of the server core. But the question is this, will Nefarious allow this? As you do see Kagura kind of rushing in. You see Phoveus in play. Chupapi trying to rush it, but Nate Man able to secure that retribution, and down goes the Turtle. And oh my goodness! The Rainer's empathy connecting on to Kagura, bursting all of her HP down to 1 HP, forcing that recall and allowing more separation as the mid tower falls in favor for the Survey Corps.
Definitely getting dangerous out here. We do see all tier 3 towers now taken off the board for the side of Nefarious. TSC starting to ramp up, right? We're starting to see them speed up, starting to close the distance on Nefarious here. They're looking to get ahead, looking to choke out the map here. You can see them now positioning all over, right, on the other side of Nefarious's jungle, looking for those pickoffs. Now they're looking to find something. Speaking of finding something, they might have an opportunity here. They are definitely setting up for this Phoveus. Those members, man, they group up and they're looking for an opportunity every single time. We could see something happening here soon. We do see Yupo kind of managing those waves with that Benedetta, all that mobility coming out from that pick. Speaking of picks, though.
Ooh, fight going in. Electro proc over there by Benny. Chupapi forcing to retreat. But man, oh man, look at the goal. 3,000 up in favor of the Survey Corps right now. And they are trying to close this out. They are trying to go for that early finish. They're one of those teams, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. So you have to be careful on your placement and careful on objectives and prioritization. As look at them trying to rush in on that top tower and giving Nefarious a very hard time today.
Definitely giving them a hard time. Speaking of hard times, though, more hard times coming for Nefarious. We did see Julian picking up that glowing wand now. Definitely going to add into that damage output, a formidable amount of damage coming into the hands of Face Ripper here. That Julian starting to echo some of that gameplay from that Gujin there. Starting to become something that teams are having a hard time dealing with. Speaking of dealing with Mar, they got to find a way to stop them from picking up these towers. Speaking of pickups here in the mid lane.
You do see Class possibly going down as they are going for more towers. The Survey Corps just maintaining that pressure on the side of Nefarious's jungle and is trying to go for this mid-inner turret, but looks like they will not be able to secure it, but shifting their focus over to the Lord. A wise decision. This is the kind of choices you have to make as a team. Look at their synergy. 3 or 4-man rotation, almost like simultaneously, all at the same time. Definitely knowing what to focus on and when to focus on it.
Definitely, and you can do that, right? When you have a pick like Benedetta and that XP land on Yupo's hand, we've seen him going back and forth in between this mid and bot lane, clearing these waves, kind of been the only member really going to manage these waves. The rest of the team kind of been playing top side, playing around Mar anytime they find a member alone, and unfortunately, it's been ignored this name more often than not, right? Getting picked on by that 3-man, 4-man rotation. You would like to think, right, they would end up realizing they might have to start grouping up here a little bit and kind of do the same, because every time a member is shown on that map, right, from the side of Nefarious alone, TSC quick to capitalize. Speaking of finding a member alone here, we do see a couple members grouping up on Liam Lord down here, do force him off to get this tower. They do pick that up. Speaking of pickups here,
you do see that tower going into the hands of Benedetta over there on Yupo as the Lord is pushing in on the top side. Looks like no focus on the mid inner turret, though. They are going to possibly go for an inhibitor. Is that the wise decision you want to take? Possibly, as minions are still making their way into that mid inner turret. And down goes the inhibitor as Mar able to lock that down. And then also a 2-for-1 as they take the inner turret for the mid lane. Enhanced change for the knockup on 3 members of Nefarious. Nefarious, but the wild charge combo with the flicker over onto Poppy, and now the heavy aggression from Nefarious is picking up. You do see something improved rushing in with Lemore getting a kill onto Face Ripper. Mar falling in that process. Norzy does go down as well. Fushi getting a kill onto Norzy. Down goes Diggy, but Chase not done. Nate Man in a bad decision, trying to use the mobility of Carmilla to get away. Is it fast enough to escape the mobility of the Shadow Stampede? And yes, it is. Nate Man able to get out of that bad situation, but Yupo rushing back in to let them know we are here to win. We are not out of this fight. You are not about to turn this tempo in your favor.
Not going to turn the tempo, but it looks like the side of TC not going to turn this trade in their favor either, seeing as that was a 3-0 trade going into the favor of Nefarious there. Finally finding something there in terms of kills, but as we can see, they haven't found anything in terms of objectives, not winning a single neutral, and also haven't taken a single tower right now. A 7-tower lead into the hands of TSC. Speaking of leads, they are up 3K. And if we take a look at these items, Mar, the Hepta, the Blade of Despair, the Malefic, completely online. So much damage and penetration coming out from him. Going to be a nuisance for the side of Nefarious. If they get caught out and Mar can get on top and capitalize, they probably will not be able to retreat and get out from that fight. So much damage. He's walking around with the Renner. Those shots are going to start hurting, start taking out some of these members from Nefarious once they step into range of those shots.
Mar having a little bit of an easier time in this game, but the secret weapon right now on the side of the Survey Corps in the hands of Face Ripper on that Julian. We've seen him run Gushin, and now seen him run the Julian just as well. He's definitely one of those heroes you have to watch out for. He definitely provides a lot of early game pavement for the side of the Survey Corps, and maybe a little bit more of trying to focus and delay him from being that bridge that they need to start that gold lead and also that kill lead. But looks like they are going to go for the Lord. It does get reset. Nefarious trying to maintain vision, trying to maintain pressure, but in a very hard position to kind of go in. And you do see Nate Man rushing in on to ignore this name, forcing out that demonic force on Phobius, but Face Ripper quickly rushing in to cancel it out with that enhanced sword, which will allow Mar to kind of start bursting down this Lord. As a Nate Man, a little bit of a distraction, even though he is the jungler. He realized he's the front line. He has the Curse of Blood for the CC, but Shadow Stampede from Sun Proof rushing in onto Norzy, dies in the process though. Face Ripper getting a kill onto him as he does take out Diggy, but this will allow them to kind of take this Lord now. And this is what we said about objectives and prioritizing what is important in these fights. Yeah, they could have all rushed in to take the Lord, but no, they decided to rush in and go for the jungler to guarantee this Lord in their hands. But fight not over, Blazing Duet by Fushi rushing in, but unable to connect and using that mirror image effect to get out. But man, oh man, even though it's only a 3-kill lead right now, a very strong foot for the side of the Survey Corps. Yupo getting a kill onto Kagura in that process as well. And now it looks like they are going to start sinking these lanes and making the most out of this neutral objective.
Definitely going to make the most out of it. They do have some members down right from the side of Nefarious. All members, almost all members, is going to be a 4v4 here. They are pushing in now, though.
You do see that inhibitor turret in the mid lane falling down. The demonic force forcing Phobius way out of the base and taken down by Norzy in the process. Oh, you do see Lord in the base now, quickly getting bursted down by Fushi. You know, it is getting to that 14-minute mark. We know he's that late-game marksman, and definitely somebody you have to keep an eye on as the clock extends further and further toward that late game.
Definitely extending further and further. And from the side of Nefarious, while they are kind of in a similar position, not too far behind right this time in Gold League, they definitely have the opportunity for the counterplay. Speaking of counterplays, though, here.
You do see a heavy push on the side of the Survey Corps trying to close it out, but the question is, will they do it? You do see Shadow Stampede activated. Yupo getting a kill on to Kagura. Down goes the Mage for the side of Nefarious, forcing them in an awkward position. It is a 4 versus 5, but no minions are in play except for the mid minions, and that was a solid defensive stance from the side of Nefarious, and they will be able to withstand possibly another push or even a mistake for the side of the Survey Corps.
Definitely was a very solid defense, but also a solid retreat right from the side of TSC, knowing nothing was there and not going to force it, gonna back off. And that's just something about TSC I admire, right? They are a smart team. They know when it's time to go. They know when it's time to leave. They won't overextend too often, and they're not going to give you too many opportunities to get back into the game. With a game like this, right, the only way the side of Nefarious can get back in is if TSC is making those mistakes. They have to capitalize to find some footing to get out of the hole that they're currently in, down 7K on the board right now, down 5 kills. The only opportunity they have is to capitalize on TSC right now. But as we speak of that, and as you said earlier, we are transitioning to the late game, so a couple members coming online. Full build, right, for the side of Fushi. Somehow he is full build. Beatrix still trying to pick up a final item. Somehow, some way, Fushi was finding enough gold, right, to hit this late game. Now he is a threat with those blazing duets, with that damage. The next time they go for the team fight, you can expect something from Fushi. If he can find the opening, right, to get to that back line, maybe get on top of Mar, maybe even get on top of Nori's here to get rid of that Diggy, get rid of that time journey, and get rid of that damage from the back line that TSC now has. Speaking of the damage they have, we do see Mark completing that build, does pick up that 100 strike. Both marksmen complete online, full build ready as this Lord is coming up in the next 5 seconds. Both teams trying to make sure they are in position. TSC definitely in position. The side of Nefarious is going to have to find some room here to clear those waves. We see the top lane, right, pushing into their base, and that's the thing about not having those inhibitor turrets. You have to respond to the waves. You don't have room to just go contest silly-willy as you want. You have to be able to have someone there, especially when you're facing off against a pick like that Benedetta. You're going to face off. We do see these teams jockeying for position in the jungle, but TSC quickly taking down this Lord. Nefarious not able to find a way to get in right now. Speaking of getting into, Poppy found a way in, but may not be able to find a way out.
A lot of utilities being used. You do see Shadow Stampede kind of canceled, but Mar getting a kill over on the Demonic Force from Phoveus. That will be the fighter down. 2 members down. Mar getting another kill onto Alita, the Kagura, the mage for the side of Nefarious. And while this is happening, you do see Luminous Lord making his way down the mid lane. And the question is, with 2 members out, will you be able to defend against the full 5 of the Survey Corps and an additional bonus from that Luminous Lord as he is making his way in, prepping for that crash into the Nexus. And yes, it looks like the fight is going down. The tower quickly being bursted out of commission, and game 2 goes into the hands of the Survey Corps to close out Series 1 for Scheduled Scrims, Week 2, Day 2, Mobile Legends Scrim Academy.
And wow, I mean, we see TSC again, right, playing into their strengths, playing into that aggressive play style, playing into that 4-man rotation, keeping that tempo up to secure that win. Nateman pulling off into that Carmilla, right, 2-0-11, a flawless game to get that MVP to close out this series. They are now 5-0 since the week has started. The reigning Supreme team, the most wins in the longest streak right now, showing that they are here to win.
And just looking at that turret damage over there by the Survey Corps on Mars, 75% on the Beatrix. No wonder she was definitely dealing a lot of damage, just stacking all that gold, pushing in those towers for the team. A playmaker indeed. But like we said, ladies and gentlemen, that will be Series 1, but don't go nowhere.
Loved you from the first time you called me lame. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Being in when you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. Eh. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you, the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. I can feel you near when you're miles away. Yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you, the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. Eh. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you, the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. Forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah, always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah, with you the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Woo! When you're miles away, yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never wanna forget. Forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. I can feel you near when you're miles away. Yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you, the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. When you're miles away, yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. To forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Always on my mind, always in my brain, yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back added a little bit of slight change in rosters. Ackerman was not going to be able to make it, but have no worries, as Dark Immortals is going to take their place, and they are going up against Mama Fuevo, the top 32 team in North America, also known as the Kingslayers for the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. This will be a best of 3 Series 2, and we want to see a good match from both sides. Alongside me, I'll be casting along Deku, who will be doing the analyst or play-by-play. Okay, so we'll be doing the analyst on this one. So, yeah, we definitely have a show on our hands today, but let's take a little bit of a look at the side of Fuevo.
Yes, and ahead of this match, while we look at the side of Weibo, the keys to victory up on the screen for the viewers. Weibo, a team very funky in that draft, right? I do believe if they can kind of throw off the scent right of those picks, they like to take a lot of confusing, flexible picks in those first 3 of the draft. If they can lock those in right and kind of throw Dark Immortals for a curveball, kind of make them guess and maybe try to go for the counters early, and then surprise them, right? Slotting these picks somewhere else from where they usually are definitely can get the upper hand in the draft. We know Weibo likes to play mind games. Speaking of mind games, they can kind of disrupt the flow, right, in these matches. Weibo, another team kind of along the lines of TSC, right, with those rotations. They like to take comps, especially with that XP fall into the hands of Durza to make something happen where they can kind of flow in that 2, 3, 4-man rotation and kind of jump into the enemy jungle. They like to go for those invades. Speaking of, they do also are able to force that counterplay, a little bit tying into that dynamic drafting, right? Force the counterplay, force out those counter picks, and then nullify them, right? Makes them useless. Now placing those picks somewhere else, making them flexible to where the counter picks don't really interact with each other anymore now. Kind of getting left alone and not really be able to counter anything in that map. So, what was that?
Oh, nothing. We are going to jump into the match, though. Huevo versus Dark Immortals. And like you said, counter plays. Dark Immortals definitely kind of a little bit of a surprising team. Sometimes, you know, they perform really well, but other times we've kind of seen them have a little bit of that harder early game. But they took out their brother team, Immortals, in the past. And now going against Huevo, I think this is where they're going to kind of let us know where they fare at in terms of tiers for teams in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. But enough about these stats. Let's get into the draft. Game 1, Series 2, Huevo versus Dark Immortals.
Hopping into the draft, and we already see a Martis got let through, and the Masha getting picked up by Durza, and a Ballman currently held over by Rito. So we're already seeing some interesting picks getting slotted right now.
Yeah, definitely some interesting picks indeed. You do see that Martis being slotted in, that Retribution, that Motor Coil, that Anti-CC, able to be a menace in that early game. But a response from Rito taking up that Fanny, and we always say that bold statement. Fanny, one of those heroes that can kind of pave the way in the early game, but is definitely buff dependent. You have to watch out for the invades. So if the side of Dark Immortals does go for more of that invasion comp, we might see Fanny have a little bit of a harder time. But Durza with an interesting pick over there on the Masha.
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know. I gotta point out this Fanny pick. All right, I don't know what's going on from the side of Weibo. This is really interesting. I have a lot of history with these players. Actually brought half of this roster into the competitive scene myself in the first team that they competed with for PDR, Rito, Durza, Yukinon, those members on the team. And I can tell you right now, okay, Rito was never the Fanny player for that team. It wasn't even a jungler, right? It was a XP laner, but he's been kind of transitioning into that jungler side for Weibo. So I'm curious if this Fanny is going to be left in Rito's hand, maybe going to maybe like Weeping's hand. We do know Weeping plays those assassins, definitely a known Gujin user, so maybe a swap there. But if this stays in Rito's hand, this is going to be crazy. And it might, because Gujin just got locked in from Weeping, right? Like I just said, known for the Gujin, is going to go ahead and pick that up. So that Fanny might be staying in Rito's hand. And this is, I'm ready to see this. This will be an interesting showcasing of a skill if Rito can perform on this Fanny tonight.
I will say on the side of Fuego, they do have a lot of mobility, a lot of pressure to kind of chase down heroes. You have Fanny with the cables, that cutthroat, to be able to burst down the squishier side of the hero pool. But you do see Carry being locked, and you see that Sicilian, kind of that late game composition plan for the side of Dark Immortals. But right now, an early game presence on the side of Fuego, which means even harder uphill battle that side of Dark Immortals will have to fight. You have Fanny that can get to that backline, can take out that Sicilian. You have Weeping over there on Gushin, who can do the same thing as well, and not only on Gushin, but also on Carry. So definitely having to play a little bit more safer, and we need to see for the side of Dark Immortals drafting going forward. You have to have something to kind of protect those backlines. You need a little bit of physical defense, some CC as well, in order to kind of fight off this early aggressive draft that Huevo is currently picking.
Definitely need something to fight it off. And while we're speaking of something to fight it off, I feel like it should be noted, right? I can't disagree more with that Sicilian pick from the side of Dark Immortals, locking it in so early. Especially even after the Fanny was already shown, right? Definitely not a safe time for Sicilian. And then also to let the Guzman fall into Weeping's hand. That's two very mobile and active assassins on the map for Sicilian. I feel like if you're going to go for those early picks, right? I feel like the only valuable one at that point is something like a Lilia or a Lunox, right? To be taken in early because there's the counterplay into assassins, right? With the black boots and the light form ult. But with Sicilian, you're kind of at the mercy, right, of Rito and Weeping with these picks, not giving yourself any time, right, to kind of reveal those picks from Wavo. And we know, like I said, speaking of Wavo with those drafts, I mean, they'll come at you from multiple angles. They're taking the Fanny, they got the Masha, they got the Guzin, even the Lapu, some strong back line picks. But speaking of strong picks, we do see Israel pick up the heavy spin. Akai has entered into the draft. Maybe going to be offered in some security. But Weezy, talk to me about that final pick we seen him just lock in there.
Alucard's kind of interesting. I mean, he's frontline, he has life steal, sustainability, but not something you typically lock in. And definitely a first to see inside of the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. So a little bit of history in the making, but this is kind of what we say, those wild card drafts can work either really well or really bad. And looking at the composition that Alucard is rushing in against, he's rushing against heavy burst damage. You have that Fanny for that early game, you have Gushin for the early game, you have Lapu with a little bit of that sustainability and to be able to stay as that frontline presence for Huevo. And then to top it off, to finalize the draft, Wu locking in that Mathilda for support. Now, this is interesting indeed. You have the Circling Eagle on Mathilda being able to kind of proc in on those backlines, that Sicilian, that Carry, and being able to pull one of the members of the team of Huevo alongside her. So this is going to be an interesting match indeed. But the Akai, you have the CC, you have the heavy spin, but is it enough as you are going against a full team of heroes rushing in for the backline? But we have to say, on the side of Huevo, they are lacking in the CC department.
They are lacking in the CC department, but there's not much dive, right, coming from the side of Dark Immortals. So they can kind of afford that and can play around with that being the case. Also, to add to that note, all those characters generally very mobile, right? Guzin having those blinks, those dashes. Fanny, of course, Cable Master, able to get in and out whenever she pleases. Along with Wu on the Mathilda, adding that mobility in the picks like Durza or Yukino once they commit to that backline to get out. But with no CC in the hands of Dark Immortals outside of that heavy spin, all those picks I just mentioned from the side of Wave are going to have free reign once they are in and they find those targets. It's going to be very hard for the side of Dark Immortals to deal with that. They have nothing to keep them back, nothing to really provide them that safety net besides the heavy spin. And it'll be interesting to see how they play that off.
Now, if I am the side of Fuevo, I am definitely focusing on delaying Sicilian's late game, delaying Carry's late game, as they are going to take a little bit of time to rev up, but you do see an invade over on the red buff, wasting no time indeed, and Weeping able to secure it. Oh, did he secure it? No, actually Apollo able to get that Retribution off just in time.
Definitely, and that speaks to those win conditions we mentioned earlier, right? Wavo wanting to keep that map control and that pressure, right? Already invading in the jungle like I expect him to do, and especially with this comp, right? When you have this many aggro picks against a lineup like Dark Immortals, you want to push the edge, you want to push that pressure that you now hold just off the draft alone. And interesting, we do see pressure going on down here in this bot side potentially.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure onto Yuki. Apollo rushing in, trying to get that first blood, but unable to seal the deal. Yuki is going to go ahead and go in for that tower. Doesn't want to be delayed in farm. But while this is happening, you are seeing Apollo get that level 4, and he will have that decimation at his disposal. A little bit of a petrify going on. A bush play. Apollo getting first blood on to Gushin. Rito falling in that trade. But decimation has procced over on Wu. 2 kills. Sham able to get a kill on Wu in that fight. The heavy pressure right now from Dark Immortals. Apollo getting another kill. 2 kills in his hands and 3 kills in favor for Dark Immortals. And they now are going to go for this neutral objective. And man, oh man, we were talking about the draft. We were talking about the late game presence, but some early game mistakes from the side of Fuevo.
Definitely mistakes from the side of Wavo. And right now, on paper, this shouldn't be the case, right? It shouldn't be happening, but this could be all attributed to letting through that one pick, the pick that happens to be in the polo hand, the Martis, right? With all those recent buffs, even after this recent nerf, still so strong. Speaking of strong there, we do see Yukon entering that strong Brave Fighter stance and taking out Sham on the Alucard there. Yeah. But Wavo gonna have to recapitalize here. Capitalize.
Ooh, you see Apollo rushing in, getting a kill on the Weeping's overly aggressive Fanny, and down he goes. A 0-1-0 KDA. And we know Fanny's one of those heroes that needs to pave the early game, but instead turned into pavement in the hands of Apollo. 3-0-1 on fire, and something we kind of expect with Martis in the jungle position. Definitely one of the more dominant picks. Yeah, Fanny can kind of get the job done, but like we said, one wrong move, and that is going to be capitalized on the side of Apollo. But in the mid lane, another kill as Rito falls in that trade. 5-1 now in Deku, only 3 minutes in. Do we see a potential snowball already?
We are seeing a snowball, and we may see a potential upset if things keep going in the favor of the side of Dark. Speaking of in their favor, though.
You see the Circling Eagle connecting, sustainability provided by Mathilda as the teams are fighting it out. Introvert getting a kill onto Whoopi, but you do see Yuki getting a kill in the process of 1-for-1 trade. Apollo getting a kill onto Mathilda. Down he goes, but fight not over. Yuki getting a kill onto Introvert, but Apollo responding back on that Martis, taking out the Gushin. And a double kill, a triple kill, taking out Yuki. What a play, 9-3, but right now the cards are in the hands of Dark Immortals.
Definitely, and right now Apollo, a runaway train full of pain no matter the lane, finding something here. He's up 6-0-1, and we just passed the 4-minute mark, and the first turtle has just spawned in. Wavo currently in a pit, a spell of disaster. If they don't find a way to work around this March, find a way to get these lanes back into a neutral state here, they are going to be in trouble. But speaking of neutral, we do see them starting up the turtle right now, only up against 2 members from the side of Dark Immortals. A couple of moves happening right now.
Do see heavy spin procced by Introvert to try and push them off of this objective. Durza able to secure the turtle though for the side of Huevo. Fight not over though. Rito getting a kill onto Shadowkey, trying to even out the odds. 4 kills now on the side of Huevo, but still fighting that uphill battle as they are 5 kills ahead for the side of Dark Immortals. And also at the advantage of the side of Huevo, they were able to steal that turtle.
Were able to steal that turtle, finding something. But speaking of finding something, let's go ahead and take a look at these items here. I do want to note Key on the Sicilian has picked up that Clock of Destiny, currently 1-0-2. Stacks are going to start coming in. Carry already picking up the DHS. Martis, thanks to all those kills, is going to pick up that Hunter Strike. A lot of damage coming in. Speaking of damage up here in the top lane, starting a little bit of a fight here, looking for something. Every time he's came for a gank, has generally been able to find a kill, but not going to find anything there. But let's talk about it, right? This is insane what we're seeing. Who is supposed to be winning on the early game in terms of on paper here should be the side of Wavo, but struggling here, falling behind, down 2k gold right now to the side of Dark Immortals, and gonna lose the first tower in the game as it falls to the hand of Shadowkey on this carry.
What a play. Dark Immortals just having the answers, and not something we kind of expected with the way the draft played out. We thought the early game advantage would actually go to the side of Huevo, but no, we are seeing a different story. Fanny trying to rush in, take out Sham. You do see him rushing back in on to Wu, though, as Fanny is going to go back and get a little bit of energy. Heavy spin with the conceal play, pinning both Wu and Rito onto the wall. Petrify as well, getting a little bit additional stun, but unable to secure the kill as Rito rushes in and gets a double, taking out Introvert and Sham. A reverse gank. What a play. And now 9-6. And if Huevo keeps this up, they may be able to even out that goal difference. But their towers are dropping left and right as both the tower in the mid lane and the top side have fallen.
Definitely, and even with this early composition, right, and finding a couple kills there to kind of even it up, when you lose that mid tower, it opens up so much. That line of defense from one side of the lane to the other shrinks in a little bit, right? You lose a lot of room to work with, primarily that jungle. Speaking of jungles, both junglers here over on the turtle, but gonna fall into the hand of Weeping with zero contest really from the side of Dark. But speaking...
Ooh, Godlike able to get that decimation, catching Mathilda off guard. Wu falls in that process. Man, Martis 7-0-1, a secret weapon right now for the side of Dark Immortals, just kind of rotating in everywhere on the map. A tower falling to the side of Dark Immortals as well, 10-6. But in terms of gold, up 3,000. In terms of objectives, they're having an easier time in these clashes. Not able to take some of the turtle plays, but when it comes to these fights in towers, it's definitely leaning in their favor. But speaking of favor, clash going on in the blue buff. You do see Key trying to rush out, but Yuki going in with that Brave Fighter stance, able to burst down Sicilian. Yuki getting a kill on the Shadow Key as well, getting on to both backlines, and Rito taking out the Akai. Gushin slaying the Gushin slaying that Akai, slaying that tank for the side of Dark Immortals. And man, oh man, 3 members have fallen. Fight not over though in the mid lane. You do see Yuki getting another kill, taking out a Polo. Killing spree activated, and Rito answering as well to get a kill to top it off, taking out Sham, and down goes the mid lane tower for the side of Dark Immortals.
Definitely, and this is scary. Huevo has woken up off the mistakes, right, from Dark Immortals. Huevo, a team known, even when they're in that disadvantage, they can quickly find their way back into the game. And that was all from the misplay, right, from Dark Immortals. They were on the invade. They did secure that blue buff, but at what cost, right, Weezy? They did give up potentially a full wipe out there, right? All members from the side of Dark Immortals dying a little after the other, a little staggering in the timers there, but all members losing that life over that one blue buff. And now the side of Huevo has a chance to respond. We can see the towers falling back, returning. They took down the mid, taking down the bot tower now. They are opening the map back up, and now Dark Immortals has given them an opportunity to get back in this game.
Speaking of opportunity, Wu able to take out Sham, and now 12-11 with Huevo leading in kills and leading in gold, up by 2,000. Speaking of Huevo though, Wu kind of up against 3 members of Dark Immortals, deciding to go back, but the Brave Fighter stance activate. A little bit of a flicker over there by Yuki. Is it an overextension though, as the heavy spin does pin him on to the wall over there by Introvert. Durza getting a kill on to the backline, taking out Shadow Key on that carry. Fight not over though. You do see Durza going in, taking out Introvert, but Apollo being slain by Mathilda. What a play. 3 members falling in that trade, and none falling for the side of Huevo. And they are going to push in this Lord with no contest.
They are pushing in this Lord with no contest, but only 2 members, right, from the surviving side of Dark Immortals. Not going to be able to do anything here to secure this. We'll be watching them to back off. Huevo, though, like I said, playing to the strengths of their dynamic drafting. And not only the dynamic drafting, right, but the players themselves. So many players out of their usual positions. Yukinon playing the Lapu Lapu in the XP, typically the gold laner for the side of Huevo, right? Rito, a typical jungle XP, playing mid lane on the Gujin right now. Durza on the Masha. That's the only person actually in their normal spot. Even Weeping moved down. Not even on a normal pick. Normally we'd be running the Gujin, but instead picked up the Fanny to go slot in the jungle. Huevo, so good at the draft. So well versed, right? Their players able to flex anywhere they need to make these compositions work. It was looking a little shaky in the early, surprisingly, somehow not able to take advantage of the early, but took advantage now into the mid-game transition and those mistakes from Immortals, finally finding their mark and hitting their strides, hitting their mark here. A little action down here in the bot lane here.
You see Yuki popping that Brave Fighter stance, but pinned on the wall over there by Introvert. Man, the placement on his Akai is just insane right now. Rito caught in a bad engagement and is going to get quickly taken down over there by Apollo on that Martis, increasing his KDA 8-2. But is that enough? As you are seeing Fuevo kind of turn this game around. You do see that Magic Sentry proccing for a little bit of vision on the side of Dark Immortals as Fuevo tries to go in for that inner turret, but looks like a little bit of pushback from the side of Dark Immortals. Fanny getting a little bit of back and forth cabling to show the mastery, the micro on Fanny right now. But speaking of micro, speaking of macro, the map is looking really good right now for Fuevo, able to turn this around in their favor, but still going in for these fights with the mobility, the sustainability of Durza on that Masha, but heavy spin again by Introvert, able to be at that right place at the right time, and it looks like they are going to be able to take out Durza as he's unable to escape and get that additional HP bar.
Definitely able to escape here, but something on my mind. Oh, speaking of escape, more fights going on here.
Oh my goodness, a little bit of a wall spam by Fanny, taking out Introvert. Fanny not done though, decides not to recall Yuki, getting a kill onto Key, getting to the back line, taking out that Sicilian with that Lapu Lapu. And if there's anybody that knows how precious the back lines are, that is Yuki. Like you said, the gold lane over there for the side of Fuevo, running that fighter, and his main focus is Sicilian or carry, and that is definitely what we are seeing today. 17 of 14, and we're seeing more of a reactive side of things now for Dark Immortals. They were the aggressor in the early game, but going into that 12-minute mark, we are seeing a different story on the side of Fuevo.
Definitely seeing a different story. And since we are passing the 12-minute mark, let's take a moment here to see these items. We do see here Rito now picking up that glowing wand on the Gujin. Genius, glowing, and Holy Crystal in play for him. A lot of magic damage now unlocked for the Gujin. We see Fanny with that Hepta, the Malefic, and Hunter Strike, leading to a kill there, right, on Sham, on that Alucard. A lot of damage coming into play, a lot of penetration. The side of Yukinon on this Lapu, so much durability with that Dominance Ice. Oops, speaking of durability here.
Members are dropping left and right. Apollo able to get a kill on to Rito, but fight not over. Yuki jumping in with that braver fighter stance is going to try and get that kill onto Key. Takes out the backline again, and Apollo with the answer back, taking out Mathilda, but they are going to go that 2v1 versus Yuki into that mid lane. My goodness, the sustainability, the beefiness of Yuki is very hard to penetrate for the side of Dark Immortals right now as he is maintaining that pressure, and now Weeping has joined the fight, but his March is going to be able to prevail. Yes, he does take out the Lapu, but in the same process, Weeping rushing in with that cutthroat slaughters the Martis.
He does slaughter him, and it took a lot of work there. As right off the tail end of me saying Yuki not having so much durability, sitting there on a kind of a 2v1, 3v1 for quite some time there, and not really falling too much in that health department. Speaking of people falling off in the health department, members down from both sides of these teams as this Lord has spawned in, but they all are currently setting up right now. The side of Wavo, tight-knit, maybe looking for a pick-off here. We do see Weeping looking for a little bit of an engage. Wavo and them trying to find something.
Ooh, Weeping taking some serious damage and deciding to do a whole 180, but you do see the clash going in on the bottom side is Sham and Introvert fighting against Durza and Rito. Rito and Durza kind of giving that vision and also giving that zonage for a possible Lord play, but looks like the full team of Dark Immortals is stacked up and they are ready to take that fight.
They are ready to take that fight. And it looks like Wavo is really determined on trying to make something happen as far as a pickoff. We do see Weeping, though, stalling on the blue buff while the rest of Wavo goes ahead and start this Lord, maybe trying to waste some time and delay them as they quickly are bursting this down. Inside of Dark Immortals has chosen maybe not to contest. They're currently out of position. This Lord is going to fall into Wavo's hand with no contest. And that's exactly what you want there. This enhanced Lord is going to be huge as we cross to this 15-minute mark. The side of Wavo now going to have to look to try to sink these waves and potentially look for an end here. They are left against Immortals with only the inhibitor turrets left. They are going to have to put up quite the defense. Speaking of defense here,
Who we are seeing Sham with a little of an over-aggressive play, trying to create a split push. But at what cost? As he pushed the lane that Luminous Lord is making his way down, I kind of undo that split push that he provided. But over on the side of things, you're looking at Sham being taken out of this fight, which will put him at a disadvantage, possibly, if Huevo can kind of sink these lanes, but a little bit out of position and a little bit late on the sinkage, and it looks like they might not be able to make the most out of this push.
Might not be able to, but right now for Dark Immortals, I don't think they're at a disadvantage losing that member. I mean, Sham's on the Alucard. We already were questioning it. Hasn't really found much. 3 and 7 left, resorting to clearing waves. He's really nothing more than a cursed helmet, right? Just fighting waves, another cannon minion, if you will, not offering too much in the way of this Alucard pick. Speaking of picks here, though, Huevo looking maybe to potentially find some towers here, maybe take a fight right afterwards. Looks like these members are trying to crash in here.
Ooh, you do see the mid inhibitor turret falling for the side of Huevo, and looks like they are going to go in for that fight. 2 inhibitors down on the side of Dark Immortals, and they only have 1 left at their disposal. Rito getting a kill onto Apollo, though. Sham rushing in, getting a kill. Wu getting a kill on the Shadow Key. Yuki getting a kill on to Sham in that process, but the fight's not over. As you see, 4 members on the side of Huevo versus 2. Only Key and Introvert to defend, and the question is, will they be able to hold off the 3 stack of Huevo? As you see, Wu on the back door, kind of just sitting by that base, not even worried about Dark Immortals right now, and they are going to start bursting down the Nexus, but the question is, can they get a little bit of confidence from the side of Huevo? But is that a mistake, as minions are starting to fall and they are losing that advantage to kind of close out that early game? And we know they have that Sicilian, they have that carry, and the later this gets, it may be a little dangerous, but maybe prepping for a closeout now as minions are making their way in. You do see Brave Fighter stance over there by Lapu Lapu. Yuki rushing in, Introvert with the heavy spin, trying to give some push away, but Yuki able to get a kill onto Akai, fighting over them. Mathilda in there giving some heals with the sustainability. You do see Shadow Key getting a kill in the process. Immortality being proc, though. Looks like Wu is going to try and escape, and able to get away from Cecilia. Not even the Bat Feast was enough damage to kind of take out Wu, but Rito taking out Sham, man, left and right. And I think right now Huevo just having more of a good time. Not really, they could have ended it right there, but I think they want to extend this fight and see what the late game potential of the side of Dark Immortals is.
Yeah, not sure exactly what game they're playing, but it's not Mobile Legends. Speaking of playing games, Rito not playing any with the side of Dark Immortals, but does get traded out there.
Ooh, but do we see an eye for an eye as Weeping tries to rush in, but taking some serious damage? This is what we said. The late game Sicilian is a monster, and when you allow them to kind of get to that 18-minute mark, 20-minute mark, they are going to regret it. You have to kind of close this out, as he will start dealing some serious damage to their full team. But at their disposal, they do have a lot of assassins to try and rush in and take out that backline, and also Durza over on that Masha. And speaking of closing the game out, they are going to go for this Luminous Lord. Fight over on the top side, though. A heavy spin again on the wall. Circling Eagle procced over by Wu, but count out of position on the 4-man team of Dark Immortals and quickly bursted down. Speaking of burst down, Shadow's Key with the speedy light wheel able to connect on a Weeping, thinking he could escape with the mobility with those cables, but no. Weeping able to actually falls to Shadow Key, and this is the turnaround that Dark Immortals wanted, right? But the question is, will they be able to close out this game? Can they turn it around? As Huevo, a little bit of a trolling playstyle toward the late half. Apollo able to take that turtle, though. Clash in the mid lane. Immortality procced over there by Sham as he rushes in, but Durza quickly going in with the thunderclap and takes him down. Apollo answering back, able to get that decimation and securing that kill on to Yuki.
One thing for certain here, if Huevo does manage to lose this game, I'm personally, gonna go back and look at the moment that Wu decided, instead of playing Mobile Legends, he was gonna play America's Next Top Model, voguing and posing next to the enemies in base there, spawn, instead of ending that game, because this game should have already been over, right? The side of Huevo definitely had the position and had the amount of pressure to be able to end this game, but playing around with their food, the food now causing them an upset stomach, as the side of Dark Immortals is looking to turn this around and secure this win.
Ooh, and it looks like they are going to fight on top of that Luminous Lord. You do see Circling Eagle procced over there by Mathilda. Rita getting a kill on to Sicilian. Down goes the Mage. Apollo getting a kill in that process as well. A 1-for-1 trade trade, and down goes Rito. But man, oh man, Lord is making his way into these towers, and down goes the top inner turret and making his way toward that top inhibitor, and they have one member down. This is 4 versus 4. Will the pressure of Dark Immortals be able to withstand the defense of Huevo right now, as the inhibitor on the top side does fall, and Yuki falling as well, leaving only 3 members to defend. Shadow taking out Durza, leaving only Weeping and Woo. And ladies and gentlemen, we might see an epic comeback. Sham able to take an inhibitor in that process. Heavy spin for the zonage as they are going to burst down that tower, and game goes to Dark Immortals.
Wow, and yeah, like I said, Huevo gonna have nightmares about this one. Really sold the bag on this game. Gotta have some focus, gotta have discipline, right? If you're looking to become one of those top teams in the professional side of Mobile Legends, can't be throwing games, being so careless, right? With these endings, need to close out. Celebrate after the win, right? Don't celebrate before it, because now look at you with the defeat on your side after all that hard work from that early to the late, just to throw it all away and give it back to Dark Immortals.
Man, oh man, what a turnaround, an epic comeback. And I want to say, definitely an interesting match indeed. When you get a little overconfident, it definitely shows you that these teams have what it takes to kind of bounce it back in their favor. And like you said, this is a best of 3. So a game that you could have had easily locked in to win this series now is counted against you. But ladies and gentlemen, that is not it. We are going to be jumping into another game, and this is Dark Immortals versus Huevo. They kind of replaced Ackerman, not able to show up last minute, but nonetheless putting on a good show. We have to see them, even though they won that game though, we have to see them play a little bit safer and also draft a little bit better. We saw them pick a lot of late game potential and was completely dominating the late, but not in the early, and that was the problem. They didn't really have any answers for the early, but the surprising thing was somehow they pulled it off. It worked for about, I don't know, what, 5 to 10 minutes? So I don't know how, by the grace of the gods of Mobile Legends. But, you know, normally with that type of drafting against these top teams, it's not going to always play out that way.
Yeah, and somehow Dark Immortals winning with their pet cannon minion. That Alucard, with its first showing in MLSA, gets its first win as well. 1 for 1 for Alucard. Congratulations to Dark Immortals making that statistic possible in the MLSA. As we head into this next match, Huevo gonna go ahead and get rid of the Fanny. Not gonna pick it up this time, and the side of Dark Immortals gonna take out Joy and Diggy.
Ooh, speaking of takeouts, down goes Martis. This is an interesting draft, right? I'm okay with the Fanny ban. I'm not really sure if Dark Immortals has a Fanny player on their side, but when you're unsure, it's definitely not the worst decision to kind of ban out, but it creates opportunity for other picks to be slotted. We do know Carmilla's available, and Huevo does not have the first pick. Kaja is also in the mix as well, and now they have to make that decision. Who do we let walk? As that will be a trump card in the hands of Dark Immortal.
Definitely. It looks like they're opting to make a trade, right? Kaja and Carmilla are both open. Dark Immortals would be wise, right, to take one of those, but instead they go for the Atlas. But that means Kaja and Carmilla is open, and it will be taken and slotted from Huevo. I think this was a careless mistake from the side of Dark Immortals. Way too greedy after banning Diggy and picking up the Atlas. There's so many other CC tanks you could have taken, right? Lolita, Grok, you know, even like something like a Minotaur or something, right? You did not have to walk in the Atlas so early. So many other picks that could have benefited with Diggy being taken out. And now that you've done that, such a careless mistake. 2 top of the meta picks, that Kaja and Carmilla going into the hands of Huevo. And this, again, like you said, is that drafting you said needed to be improved on, but clearly not making the proper adjustments.
Speaking of proper adjustments, definitely a plan, a bait. Actually, not even a bait. The thing is, they banned Diggy. So I would have expected maybe Huevo would ban Diggy and try and bait them to pick the Atlas first pick. You know, a little trick that you can do on newer teams. But to ban Diggy yourself and then you pick up the Atlas for first pick is interesting. But they did take the Lunox, kind of one of the heroes that could counter against that Atlas. But you gave 2 trump cards. You took an Atlas, easily counterable with, you know, specific compositions, and in turn you allowed the opposing side to take that Carmilla, to take that Kaja, 2 of the best picks this season, and I'm not really sure that was really a good trade.
Yeah, not sure at all. And to add on to the insult to the injury here, we do see Wan Wan getting picked up by Yukino, who is going to head back over to that gold lane. So now we got the Divine Judgment, right? The Blood Curse and the Crossbow Tang all on one team. That is a lot to deal with for the side of Dark Immortals.
Just a lot to deal with. You do have that Paquito that can kind of do it all, though. You have the mobility, the sustainability, the burst, physical damage. But like we said, Wan Wan, not the worst decision, especially when that Atlas has been slotted up. Kaja, one of those flex picks that can do it all. The Curse of Blood over there on Carmilla for the stun to the full team of Dark Immortals. And at least, I gotta say, at least they got one win on their side. So they have a little bit of insurance if this one doesn't work out in their favor. But on the side of Huevo, if they lose this game, they will be swept for the first time. And honestly, I think this is the first time Huevo has actually lost in game one of a series. So this is definitely interesting indeed. Kind of botching their own stats.
Definitely. And if they lose this match, it would also be the first series that Huevo would have dropped since entering into the MLSA. So a lot on the line here, right, in this game as far as Huevo's statistics. And their integrity here in the MLSA might be a little fall from grace that we're seeing here. Speaking of fall from grace, looks like Huevo descended into the rabbit hole, hovering over the Johnson, but they are going to switch over and go to something a little more meta here. And gosh, every single pick right now that's getting picked up from Huevo is looking disgusting, right? The Carmilla, the Kaja, the Wan Wan, and now the Grok. So much utility, so much power in the hands. Just in those first four picks, who knows what they'll take in the last pick. And the side of Dark Immortals is going to have to find a way, right, to counterbalance this draft right now. Because, in my opinion, they are definitely on the back end of the draft right now.
It's definitely going to be a battle of the Fatal Links versus the Wild Charge. And then a Crossbow Tang in the fight as well. I love seeing these kind of drafts. I love these explosive ultimates from all of these heroes that have kind of been slotted. But speaking about explosive, Gushin being hovered over, but Apollo kind of making that decision between which brother he wants to go with. Is he going to go with the Amon jungle or the Gushin? But ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, Amon has been locked in as the jungle.
Yeah, we're going to actually see the brothers duel off, right? Amon versus Gushin, Weeping, locking in his signature Gushin pick, and now we are seeing Apollo on that Amon. Definitely going to be a matchup of the Tails. Only difference here is that Gushin is going to go into the mid lane, and the Amon is obviously going to go into the jungle. But a matchup, nonetheless, we're excited to see. This is definitely a lot of firepower coming out from both teams. A lot of bursts coming out, a lot of ways to layer in the damage in some of this CC. But as we head into the match, win conditions for these teams, obviously, the side of Dark Immortals is going to be putting it all into the hands of Introvert on this Atlas. Going to have to drop that Introverted and go for these extroverted plays. Going to have to land these Fatal Links, get into the mist of Huevo. Huevo does have a little bit of grouping comp, right? Do have to stack up to kind of feed on top of this Carmilla with those links there to kind of find that damage and stack into those targets. Going to have to hope for the side of Dark Immortals that they can re-engage and counterset the side of Huevo here, but Huevo having so many options, right? You can engage off the links, you can engage off the Wild Charge, engage off the Divine Judgment. So many ways to make something happen. Speaking of things happening here, Introvert falling dangerously low already from the damage coming out from Huevo in this mid lane.
Now, we know how scary Huevo can be when they slot in that Gushin, and you definitely have to watch out for him in the early game. All he needs is that Genius Wand, those arcane boots, and he can get the job done. Now, looking at the marksman, they do have that Beatrix. Maybe need to play a little bit safer as you're going against that Wan with that Inspire. And to top it off, a possible gank if Weeping decides to go in that lane. So if I was Beatrix right now, I would be playing that safe fight. I will, kind of clear those minions and wait for my team to engage and go for the ganks, because you don't want to get caught out of position and delay your farm from a possible gank on Weeping for the Gushin.
Definitely. Speaking of delaying of farm, looks like Huevo is going to go ahead and try to choke out Apollo in this jungle with that mid lane Prowl able to perform these invades.
Ooh, you do see a rush in onto Wu, forcing out the flicker, but they were able to take some of that farm in the jungle. But fight on the bottom side, Yuki trying to burst down Apollo, but does not have level 4 to be able to get that crossbow tank. But first blood over on the top side is Sham is quickly taken down by Durza and Rito. That Carmilla and that Kaja double support combination.
Yeah, and expect to see this often, right? The side of Wavo with these rotations already to both lanes early on, causing some type of game. Obviously, the bot side still a little bit of farming, and the top side securing that first blood, but might be falling back into their hands now.
Ooh, Apollo with the endless shards, able to burst down Grok, which will leave one member down for this turtle push. Wavo at a disadvantage, but Grok is coming back into the game. Turtle has been reset. Ring of Order by Durza for the AoE damage. Weeping rushing in with the Incandescent, get the double kill onto Apollo and also on to Introvert. A triple kill and takes down the mage. Down goes Key on Lunox, which will guarantee this turtle in the hands of Wavo. And now a turtle and also 3 kills in that process. What a beautiful start for Wavo.
Definitely, and that's the scary part, right? About letting those type of picks through, those picks that are kind of at the top of the meta, and especially something like a comfort, right, as well, into the hands of someone like Weeping. A quick, well-executed triple kill ahead of that turtle, putting in Wavo in a nice position right now. As they do request a pause, though, gotta go ahead and respect that. As we head into the pause, they will be up 2K gold right now.
Man, what a game. But like we said, game 1, it was kind of a similar story, but somehow was able to make the early game work in their favor. But then we saw a slight, like a light switch turn on for the side of Wavo, and they were completely on fire. But then kind of trolled at the end and let Dark Immortals in that game. So they do have an advantage. They are up 1 game. Wavo needs to win this one to stay in the series. And right now, definitely showing that they have no plans to lose the series.
Definitely not looking to lose this series. They do need to close out this game to make it a 1-1, right, and to reset the series as they head into the final match. But hopefully the side of Dark Immortals can go ahead and put an end to that as well from their side and make sure that Wavo gets knocked out in this match.
Looks like we got a little bit of a technical pause, though. We are going to see what's going on with the side of, I believe Wavo was the one that kind of paused it out. So, yeah, definitely an interesting match. I have to see Dark Immortals kind of apply some pressure, right? You don't want to allow that snowball to happen. And right now, Wavo just having kind of an easier time in terms of taking objectives, in terms of going in for these fights, in terms of invading the jungle and delaying farm. But enough about strategies, as both of these teams are ready, and we are jumping right back in to the Land of Dawn.
Definitely jumping right back into it. If I'm the side of Wave, I'm looking to jump right back to the action as we see that Weeping had picked up that kill on Shadow Key before that pause happened. They want to keep this pressure up right now. They're up 5-1, right? Up that 2K gold lead. The lead is in their favor. They have the pressure, everything going for them right now. They just need to keep everything in check, keep pressuring those lanes, use these picks to their advantage, right? All of these picks can kind of hold their own right now. We see Yukinon holding down the 1v2 right there in the gold lane, not getting pressured too much. We can pressure though. Rito and Wu are rotating down to give him some assistance. We could see some possible action here.
The Fatal Link's only connected on one member of Wavo, getting Rito, but at what cost? Weeping taking out Introvert with no problem. A double kill, a triple kill, taking out Beatrice. Oh my goodness! A Maniac takes out 4 members of Dark Immortals, only leaving Sham. And man, oh man, this is what we said. When you allow Wavo to slot in that Gushin, there's a lot of teams that can't really answer back for it. Only one of the only teams with a solid answer was Kush, you know, when he slotted a possible Bane against these Gushin players. And man, 8-0-0 KDA right now, just a perfect game. Speaking of perfect game though, Weeping on the top side, bursting down Paquito. You do see Durza in there with the Ring of Order, giving some pressure. You do see Weeping in a bad situation, 2v1, but able to get a kill before being taken down by Introvert on Atlas. A little bit of a wall, trying to provide Key from escaping over there by Grok. Fatal Links able to get the CC on Arito. Durza getting a kill. Looks like Introvert is going to make the wise decision and get out of there and able to escape. But while this is happening, look at Yuki just bursting down this mid tower.
Definitely. Speaking of bursting down, Weeping is playing out of his mind right now. 10 of the 12 kills right, that Weibo currently has are in the hands of Weeping on this Gujin. That Maniac we saw, right, was probably one of the fastest Maniacs I've seen. I've played a lot of games since coming to Mobile Legends. That might have been one of the fastest ones. And I think that just comes down to the fact also as well, letting that Carmilla come through, letting those links connect, right? All that damage being shared. Gujin, once able to lock onto that target, able to split it to everyone. Speaking of the damage there in the bot lane.
Weeping rushing in with the Incandescence, the Shadow Blade onslaught, able to get a kill, and Yuki getting a kill onto Shadow Key. And it looks like Yuki's continuing to burst down this tower with the zonage provided by Huevo right now. Introvert giving some vision, but probably in a bad situation as Huevo rushes in. They are out for blood. Weeping again with the aggressive dive plays, takes out Introvert. Man, oh man, but he is not done as Sham tries to rush in and deal some damage and is not able to connect and quickly bursted down by the pressure of Huevo, the four-man team. Nemire's Passion by Beatrix, but barely missing by a hair, and now trying to use Rainer's Empathy, able to deal some damage onto Durza, but in terms of what is at her disposal, does not have even Blade of Despair built yet to work in her favor.
Doesn't have Blade of Despair, but a lot of things to work in the favor for Weibo. Already getting that Genius and Glowing Wand picked up for Weeping, who wasn't having any problem right before Glowing Wand was picked up. Definitely gonna have a much easier time now. Corrosion, DHS already in the hands of Yuki on this Wand. Speaking of things in the hands of Wand here.
You do see Fatal Links with three-man set. Durza going in, getting a kill. Crossbow tank activated by Yuki, taking out Sham, a double kill, taking out Key in that process. And this is the scary thing about a Wand is when you get those crossbows of Tang, she is almost unstoppable. And Yuki taking out Shadow is Key. Down goes the marksman for the side of Dark Immortals as well. And now it looks like Yuki trying to catch up to Weeping, but still Weeping 12-1-12. Definitely hard to compete with right now. But in terms of competition, 2-20. This might be a record for the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy.
Definitely in terms of deficit, Weibo setting up right now an embarrassing thrashing for the side of Dark. Oh my goodness.
DC Weeping just rushing in, just letting him know his presence is there and dealing down. He even stepped in the way of that Rainer's Apathy. He wanted that snipe to hit, and it almost did. But no, you do see another fight possibly going in on the bottom side as Dark Immortals is trying to find some answers. But right now, it looks like Huevo is holding all of the magic keys, and I don't really know if Dark Immortals has what it takes at their disposal. They don't have the utility to kind of turn this around, and Huevo, knowing this, is gonna have that advantage. And this is a similar story to game one, but we knew we know after seeing game one with Huevo at this advantage, they like to be overconfident and start trying to flex and do those recall spams. And I think a little bit of what he said, fashion model, America's Next Top Model. They're kind of known for kind of being a little bit more flashy, and that may cost them, as you do see the Fatal Links getting almost a full team of Huevo, but not dealing any damage in that tower. You can get a kill on the Shadow's Key. Weeping getting a kill onto Apollo. Key getting a kill onto Weeping. You getting a kill on to Lunox. Down goes Key. One member left to defend on Dark Immortals versus the four-man team of Huevo, and they are going to try and even out this series. You do see Paquito with the 2-2-1-3 combo, but deciding to stop fighting as he realizes there is nothing he can do, and the Nexus has been destroyed over by Huevo to even out the series.
Yeah, I mean, that was just disgusting, right? And you know what? Now that I'm looking at this, we just got another record. Huevo has now set the new fastest match. That is 8 minutes and 31 seconds. It's absolutely ridiculous that just happened. 26-3 from Dark Immortals. I'm getting back in the huddle, and I'm yelling at someone. Someone needs to get their stuff together. I mean, look at the draft. I feel like this is so much lost at the draft. If you look at it, they got the Kaja, the Grok, Carmilla, Gujin, Wan, and what do you get in return? The only pick over there, right, currently kind of near somewhere at the top of the meta is Atlas, and then maybe Beatrix rising a little bit. But other than that, you got nothing in response to those picks that Weibo got. I'm furious if I'm a member from Dark Immortals right now. We just got embarrassed in front of everyone tonight in this scrim.
Oh my goodness. But I mean, we know this is for practice, so I appreciate Dark Immortal stepping out there. Now, we do know Huevo a top 32 NA team, and Dark Immortal's kind of more of a newly formed team. So little bit more synergy in their favor, but in time they will get there, and that's the whole purpose for the Scrim Academy. I appreciate you guys tuning in and playing, but it's not over yet. We still got another game as these two teams are tied, so we are waiting. It looks like one member did step out for the side of Dark Immortals, and they are jumping back in. Once they ready up, we will get back into it, possibly. But we will have a little bit of a short break to figure out exactly what's going on. But man, oh man, what do you got to say? I don't even like trying to break this down. There's so many things to break down.
Right?
Like
the only thing getting broke down is Dark Immortals. Clearly. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. They gotta get back to the drawing board and work on those drafts.
Yeah, maybe one of the things we do help assist with is coaching teams. So maybe a little bit of Deku action, maybe even a Wheezy combination with it can get them on point, you know.
We need something needs to happen over there in the head office.
A little bit of prayer, some holy water, and they'll have what it takes. But it's not over yet. We are going to jump back into it as this is a best of 3. Ladies and gentlemen, Huevo and Dark Immortals both having one win, but the question is who will take the game. Definitely vote on your guys' favorite team and also what team you think will win this series.
Man, as we head into this next match, I mean, I hope we don't see any more of that in this final match for this series. I'm looking for an even grounds. I mean, if I'm Dark Immortals, after a beating like that, I'm looking to unleash chaos on Weibo. No way you're going to set a record on us and beat us out in the series all in the same night. There's got to be some fight back. Gotta have some get back. I mean, get it back in blood from the side of Dark Immortals here. Can't go out like that against Weibo. Hopefully they tighten up a little more in this draft. Maybe not giving up so many freebies, right? This time in the draft, I mean, you gave up 5 meta picks, and not just like, you know, somewhere in the middle of the pack of the meta, but like top of the meta for little to no gain in return.
Yeah, definitely little to no gain. And speaking of gain, there's a locking in the Kaja for the first pick over on Huevo. Oh my goodness, Deku. But an answer back. They are going to lock in the Carmilla. Not the worst option, but again, locking in that Atlas when there are still direct counters to work against him.
They're getting outplayed. They're getting outplayed right now. It's happening in front of us again, right? I mean, you ban the Diggy to go for the Atlas again, and for what? You know what I mean? You give up the Kaji, you got the Carmilla right, but you try to pair it up with Atlas, right? But then right in immediate response, the Akai, we know the heavy spin counters out Introvert with these Fatal Links, and then they stack on top of it the Valir. Introvert is not going to have a good time on this Atlas. It's going to be near impossible to make anything happen. Even with if you add in the Divine Judgment, right? Going to be so much chaos just to land a single set. And what do you have behind you? The Sicilian again. But guess what's still out there? Those assassins. If they don't ban out that Gujin, right, they have to learn. There's no way they're going to let this Gujin walk again and weeping, go into maybe potentially his weeping hand and be able to let this run through, because Kodrick still go to the XP and weeping can move this Valir to the roam and they still can have space for that Gujin right now. But they're going to take out Leah Moore, and I feel like that's I don't know. I just don't think they're reading the draft right. It's so many holes in the draft. It's like, I don't think Dark Immortals, right, is a subpar team, but the way they're drafting, it makes them fight such an uphill battle. It makes it almost impossible, and we saw that, right, in the last match. Such a draft diff, and had absolutely no chance to fight back against Weibo.
We definitely see Deku's inner coach screaming right now as we are sitting in this draft. Yes, drill sergeant. No. But looking at the draft right now, let's look at what Dark Immortals has at their disposal. You have Sicilian, you have the late game potential, you have Carmilla to be able to pair up, you know, that dynamic duo to kind of get Carmilla out of those sticky situations and able to keep her a little bit safer. So it's interesting, right? Now, I don't know about the Atlas pick. Kind of powering that super early. You have to have a reason for it. You need to make sure a couple of conditions are met before you pick up that Atlas. One of them being direct counters. You cannot allow a Diggy to be available if you are going to take that Atlas, unless you slot it as the 3rd pick, 2nd draft. But if you don't do that, you're going to have a hard time, as the enemy team will be able to appropriately counter you. And that's what we kind of seen as Huevo locked in that Akai. Definitely going to give him a little bit of a harder time, as that heavy spin provides that zonage. And then you have that Valir for some additional slow in the favor of Huevo. And then Bedang being slotted over there on Dark Immortals. Now, Bedang's interesting. How do you kind of feel, you know, with recent patches and all the changes that we've seen so far? How do you kind of rate Bedang as an XP lane fighter?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, right? Like if I look at all the XP picks, right, and someone is, you know, throws up like Bedang, like, all right, where are we placing him? I gotta put Bedang somewhere near more towards like the bottom half, maybe, of like the meta. But as an XP player, right, when I go on the XP, if you ask me who's the most annoying XP pick for me to play against, I'm telling you it's Bedang every single day of the week. Bedang has got to be the most infuriating matchup for me to go against. And it might be skill issue. I don't know. I'm not the best player, but I do know even with Bedang not being the best pick in XP, he's definitely formidable in the XP, at least as far as the 1v1s and kind of in that split push. Now, as you transition to those team fights, he does fall off a little bit, and going against the side of Huevo's composition with that heavy spin, Valir being able to hit those knockbacks and kind of keep Bedang locked down, Divine Judgment, the bloody hunt, right? It's going to cause a little bit of a chaos for Bedang to be able to find something. But in terms of Bedang being an XP, like, I don't know. I can't give him the nod as like a go-ahead pick, but like, you know, he's one of those picks, like it can profit, right, in the right hands. Like there's a window for Bedang to be useful and viable in the current meta.
Definitely useful, definitely viable. I will say he is harder to deal with recent patches, right? He does more damage, he's able to get in there, and if you don't have that anti-CC, if you don't have Purify, if you don't have a dash, he might possibly burst you down with that Fist Crack. He definitely has that that CC to kind of stop a whole team if able to connect. But look at who he is going against. He is going to be going against that Kaja, who kind of can play from a distance and using that Ring of Order to clear minions, and then rushing in with that Divine Judgment to kind of, you know, get that immobilization. And I'm not sure that's really the best hero or the best matchup for Bedang. But ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping in to the Land of the Dawn. This is a best of 3, and so far, even both teams are even with having one win at their favor. Now the question is, looking at history, we've seen kind of more of a dominating fashion from Huevo, but do you see, would you consider this an upset if Huevo gets knocked out right now by Dark Immortals?
Absolutely, an upset and a proven decline of Huevo. If they lose this series, I'm gonna have to knock Huevo, right? Been regarded as one of the best teams in the Scrim Academy, but the recent performances have left a lot to desire, excluding that last game. Definitely giving off Huevo energy, the team that we know they can be, obviously setting a record. End of the game in 8.5 minutes. Truly outstanding, especially considering all those changes, right, to the map, those tower shields for that extra defense, even the like inner inhibitors, right, with that extra energy blaster to be able to clear out those minions. And in the game in less than 9 minutes is an impressive feat for any team. But definitely gonna have to prove to me that they're still where they need to be. They have to show a shutout Dark Immortals here in this match and secure this series.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. I think this might be one of the most interesting series we've had. Not the most intense, but the most interesting. Over on the bottom side, though, you do see Rito getting that farm over there, maybe prepping for a backdoor play. He has hit level 4. But on the top side, Beatrix, with the help of Wu, able to take down Shadow Key, which will give Beatrix that slight advantage. And it looks like both teams are getting ready for this turtle.
Yeah, speaking of advantage there, Rito did pick up that little side creep there, trying to increase that gold lead any way possible. Speaking of increasing leads here, though.
Ooh, you do see Ring of Order and Divine Judgment taken out. Key, down goes Sicilian. 2 kills in favor of Huevo, but Bloody Hunt connecting onto Introvert on that Atlas, and down he goes. Franco actually able to secure that kill. Heavy spin on the wall on Apollo and Sham. Sham rushing out, but Weeping able to take out Apollo, and Yuki taking out Shadow Key, and now a 5-0 lead, and we are only 2 minutes in.
I mean, You want to be even, right? Looking at these teams, we know we have competitive teams in the Scrim Academy, but right now, Dark Immortals not reaching the bar right now. Need to see some focus from them. I don't know if it's stage fright. Maybe they weren't prepared. We do know they were a walk-on, right? It was supposed to be Ackerman. Oh my goodness. Speaking of walk-ons, though, here.
Ooh, you see the pushback over there by Valir, but Yuki getting a kill on to the marksman. Down goes Shadow Key. Clinton is not in the game. You do see a double over there picked up by the marksman. Yuki 4-0 on fire, and now this is scary as this marksman is gonna be a menace, and they're not gonna have an answer for it as he is so far ahead in terms of gold.
Definitely so far ahead, already picking up the 2 Legion swords, and that Fury Hammer tower is down in under than 3.5 minutes there. This is getting ridiculous. If they don't find a way to stop this now, we might see a repeat of the last match here. They need to find a way to stop this. They're already playing on the back end, right? Playing that late composition to scale. Looks like some setup, though, here in the mid could potentially be happening, though. See a little back and forth here. The positioning from the side of Wavo threatening the side of Dark Immortals anytime they move on the map. But speaking of things moving, we did see Beatrix just pick up that Blade of Despair already underneath the 4-minute mark. And that's coming from those 4 kills in that top tower gold and knocking it all the way down. So much economy going into the hands of Wavo. They're already up 4K gold after we pass the 4-minute mark. You can already swapping lanes to find more opportunity to farm here.
You do see Yuki actually taking things a little bit more seriously as we've seen him kind of swap on that Lapu, but now going back as the marksman. But over there, you do see a mage, a Sicilian taking out Valir, Wu taking out the Badang. Man, oh man, 8-1 right now though, and Huevo is applying that pressure. Looks like you do see a little bit of invade for the blue buff. Rito is going to go ahead and try and steal that to even further the lead that they have already started. Turtle has spawned in, and right now I'm not even sure if Dark Immortals can even take a 5v5 fight. They're down by 5,000 gold, only 4 minutes in. But Clash going in, you do see a little bit of zonage, a little bit of slowage as well, and Shadow Key able to kind of come online, take out Wu, and get a double to take out Durza. He is trying to catch up to Yuki over there on Beatrix. 2-3-0, but Turtle does fall into the hands of Huevo.
Yeah, and too little and maybe not enough here. We do see both teams starting to pick up some of these core items. Valir picking up that glowing wand. Berserker's Fury finding its way into Shadow Key's hand, and that Malefic, their Heptaseeds falling into the hands of Sham on the Badang. Clock of Destiny in Sicilian's hand, definitely a key component for him. They're going to have to rely heavily on that scaling, so hopefully Key with that item can find something happening here. Speaking of finding something happening here in the mid lane.
Sham using the flicker, barely able to escape with his life. A little bit of a Christmas recall, a little flashy, that little holiday season in full effect. But I don't know if that's enough. Not even that Holy Spirit can keep them in this game if they continue to kind of prioritize these objectives and play the slow tempo. Huevo is moving really fast across the map. They're getting a lot of kills. They're taking a lot of towers, and they're wasting no time as Yuki with the Rainer's Apathy snipe to quickly take Key on Sicilian out of the game and also take down a tower in the process for the mid lane. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. God dang. I just don't know if Dark Immortals can hang tonight. Fighting against Huevo, they're finding everything.
I don't think Franco's missed the hook. But man, oh man, these towers are dropping left and right. And maybe just a little bit more of synergy difference right here. But a triple set, looking good, but they don't have the damage on their side to kind of capitalize off it. An Introvert, able to get the set, but not able to provide the opportunity, and down he goes. And again, Huevo just having that easier time. A similar story for all 3 games. But the question is, I gotta ask, Deku, do you see Huevo trolling again at the end? Because if they do, maybe Dark Immortals can kind of sneak in that win for the series.
I don't think we'll see Huevo troll, and I think it just goes back to kind of what I was saying here. Like they're credibility in the MSLA is kind of on the line, right? You can't lose this series, right? Especially like the way they've had these games kind of in their favor. If they were somehow find a way to lose this series, I don't know. We have to look at Wavell from the side of our eye, right? Speaking of the side of our eye, I did see Yukon picking up that malefic roar. Oh my goodness! Immediately translating into a kill off the Iron Hook facilitated by Wu.
Ooh, speaking of Franco getting that bloody hunt, Yuki able to connect and take out Apollo. Down goes the jungler. No more Carmilla in play. Triple kill by Yuki, taking out Sham on fire. 10-0-1 KDA, and they are going to push in this inhibitor turret. You have Introvert, you have Shadow Key, you have Key over there on the Sicilian to try and fight them off, but can they do it? You see a set, the Fatal Links in full effect, only getting one member of Fuego, but connected with that Rainer's Empathy, a sniper on her hands as Yuki increases that KDA to 11-0-1. You do see the Ring of Order being activated for some AoE damage on to the minions, and they are going to try and close it out, but more members are spawning back in for the side of Dark Immortals, and they are starting to push back Huevo from this early finish. Only 8 minutes in, and man, oh man, they almost have every single tower. They are about to take another inhibitor if Dark Immortals is not careful. Can they hold them back? As Yuki does have that sniper, and Rainer able to connect, and down goes the bottom inhibitor turret.
Yeah, I just don't know if they can stop him. I mean, Wu is insane right now. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. He just can't miss with the Iron Hook, connecting almost everything and throwing kills like an alley-oop over here to Yukinon, who also isn't missing with that Renner right now.
My goodness, man. But you do see Badang picking up that Demon Hunter sword, but we haven't seen him come online at all. And this is what we say: when you pick certain heroes, you need to have a game plan. You have to provide that utility for why you drafted them. And right now, even with the picks that Dark Immortals has at their disposal, it kind of looks like a little bit of random in terms of prioritization. But Iron Hook pulling Atlas in to Yuki to increase that KDA to 12-0-1, and now they are going to go for this Lord with no contest on the side of Dark Immortals.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's getting a little ridiculous. Again, Wu about to facilitate potentially another kill. Sham barely able to get out of that. Would have been spelling disaster. Wu could have connected to him. I mean, I don't know. We're about to end up, I don't know who's going to end up getting MVP for this one. Obviously, Yukinon leading in the stats as far as kills, but everyone really playing their part with this CC.
Ooh, Introvert going in, trying to get a set, but quickly bursted down. Fight going in. Yuki getting another kill, taking out Shadow Key. Marksman is down for the side of Dark Immortals. They are going to go for the finish. You do see Yuki picking up that Blade of Despair, the highest physical DPS damage item in the game. And now, if Yuki wasn't online before, Yuki definitely is online now. Taking another tower, Divine Judgment activated onto Badang, and Yuki finishing him off. 15-0-2. Oh my goodness, getting a double kill, takes out Sicilian. Oh man, fight not over though, as you do see Atlas just saying, I'm done, I'm gonna clock out. Go ahead and turn your badge in, and game goes to Huevo to win the series over Dark Immortals.
Yeah, man, wow. I mean, this is going to be a quick analysis, right? Huevo clearly firing on all cylinders. The Beast have been unleashed tonight, reeling back from those recent performances. Like I said, underperforming so much, but tonight not playing any games. I don't know. Ackerman might have dodged a bullet, because the way Huevo was playing, we might have had a new top team in North America tonight.
Man, oh man, but we know even when you have the advantage, when you have more synergy on your team, you want to make sure you're still doing the little things. As if you don't focus on those little things and you start playing against those higher caliber teams, those little things kind of slip through the cracks. And like a team like TSC, we've seen they don't make those mistakes. I don't think TSC, it doesn't matter who they go against, they're going for that 6-minute finish if they can. But I think, what did we say? Was that another record? 20-3. The other game was, we might have to look back and see, because this is some.
These were some yellow tape games right here. You kind of, this happens and you start throwing out those white chalk lines. There were some bodies out here. Definitely some casualties had tonight from the side of Huevo.
Man, oh man. And ladies and gentlemen, Huevo is able to close out that series, but we are not done yet as we do have more games in store. We currently are waiting. We have the Simpsons coming up next, and they will be going up against Huevo. So definitely
Yeah. Love you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. I can feel it when you're miles away. Yeah, you can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Love you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah, yeah. I can feel it when you're miles away. Yeah. make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you the summer came and went in a day, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. I don't think I want to forget anyway. I can feel you near when you're miles away. Yeah. You can make it shine when the whole world rains. Always on my mind, always in my brain. With you the days are long and the nights are late, and I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. Ooh, and I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, never wanna forget. No, nothing's gonna make me forget, and I don't think I want to forget anyway. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. I don't think I want to forget anyway. Yeah. Loved you from the first time you called me late. Loved you for your wits and your wicked games. Yeah. Always on my mind, always in my brain. Yeah. With you, the summer came and went in a day. And I've been craving you since the first time that I sat by your side. And I've been on my knees thinking time is gonna fix me inside. Oh, no, nothing's gonna make me forget. And I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah. No, nothing's gonna make me forget. Yeah, I don't think I want to forget anyway, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back in the land of Dawn, and we have Series 3 for Week 2, Day 2, scheduled scrims. And for Series 3, we have a banger. We have Fuevo going up against Novacore, two top 32 teams for North America. So this is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what Novacore has to bring to the table, and this is going to be their first time playing inside of the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. So I definitely want to kind of see who their secret weapons are and see if they have what it takes to take out the Kingslayers, Huevo, who took out Dark Immortals with that dominant fashion. But enough about me, ladies and gentlemen, as we are going to jump straight into the draft.
Yeah, just to add on to what you said, they're definitely interested to see what Novacore can do. I was actually talking to Wavo, right, ahead of that potential matchup with Ackerman during that break. They actually mentioned that they, because I told them about some of the teams that were registering and joining in. Novacore, obviously one of the ones kind of registering in today, and they said they actually faced them 3 times in ranked in a row, and apparently came out on top, winning 2 of those 3 matches. So we'll see maybe if that translates over here to the scrim, or if Novacore can kind of flip that narrative around.
Now, we definitely know, half of the battle is won inside of the draft. And looking at these bans right now, you do see Fanny being taken out. You see Martis being taken off of the board for the side of Fuevo. And they also have first pick to kind of work in their favor, which will force Novacore to be more of that reactive team for this draft. They are going to take out that Wanwan, though. Little interesting ban right there. But Kaja, not too out of the ordinary. And on top of that, Joy. But without wasting any time, realizing that one of these meta picks did slip through, Rito locking in that Carmilla and possibly slotted as the jungler.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen them kind of perform with that Carmilla, right? When they were able to get the Kaja and Carmilla on lock. Speaking of things on lock, though, Novacore going to fire right back with the Leomord and the Eve. Interesting. I don't think we've seen Eve have...
No, we did. I think this is the first Eve we've seen.
Yeah, this might be the first time we're seeing Eve enter out here. That's very interesting, right? Ever since Eve's investments kind of fell from the good grace of NA, at least, as far as being prioritized or even picked up. So this will be interesting to see how it does.
Now, Durza kind of hovering over that Yu Zong. We all know for a while now, definitely a solid answer to kind of drop in on that Eve with that Black Dragon. But the question is, does he slot it in, kind of exposing who the XP lane will be, and maybe seeing a direct counter on the side of Novacore if he does pick that for the XP. And yes, he does secure it. And then Yuki, with no time wasted at all, is going to go ahead and lock in that Leslie. But we did see it, Deku. Second pick, and locking in that Atlas to finish out the first phase of the draft for the side of Nova Ash.
Yeah, we do. Atlas getting taken in that digging band out for the response, but still, we do know Akai is available, right? Akai can still be slotted in for the roam. They can move Carmilla even over to the roam and put Akai in on the jungle, something to kind of answer back in on top of this Atlas. They could even put in something like a Mathilda, right? Increase the mobility kind of to avoid those fatal links, maybe to dive in on the Peter on this Eve. A lot of options still to be able to deal with. Not enough bans, though, to the side of Novacore. So kind of got to pick your poison and see what you can let through for Wavo to respond with on this Atlas.
Now, like you said, that Diggy being banned out, a direct counter, but Akai is still in play. You could flex Carmilla over to that roam position if needed. You still have the Akai to kind of keep that Atlas at bay and also stop that real world manipulation. But we are seeing that Leomord slotted in that jungler and as that jungler, and they do have a lot of utility at their disposal. You do have an answer though. I like how Durza kind of slotted in that YZ, and I want to see what the response is from the side of Novacore to deal with it. Yuzong having that shot essence, that sustainability to be able to stay on the map, and then also using that Black Dragon form to be able to rush in and drop on any hero of his choosing, preferably the backlines, and also just really good zonage. And I think a solid kit hand draft from the side of Huevo right now.
Definitely, but it does have to be noted, right? YZ, while he used to be kind of that pick for this Eve, right? Eve did get that adjustment, nerfed a few things, nerfed the size of the ultimate, reduced down to the 5x5, I believe I want to say, for that size of the ultimate. But also, while reducing that and some of those CDs did a good increase in damage, but also something kind of in the asterisk mark area, right? The CC immunity, right? No longer affected by any CC besides suppress. So while this YZ used to be an answer, it'll be having to prove to see if it still can have any merit against Eve. We will know that Knockup won't play any part of stopping Peter when he decides to lay down this real world manipulation.
Now, if I was the side of Huevo, looking at this draft, I might not go Carmilla jungle. I mean, you could slot in a Kai, possibly run him as the roam, or you could slot him in and run him as the jungler, but I'm wondering what their game plan is. Like, they need an answer over there for Atlas, and right now I'm not really seeing it. Maybe a little bit of an easier time with the way this draft is going for Nova Ash to kind of pull out those fatal links. Dino wasting no time though, taking up that Lapu Lapu. Kind of a little bit of rise in him being chosen throughout the MLSA, as this is not the first time we've seen Lapu Lapu in action. But speaking of action, speaking of picks that we've traditionally seen in the past, we are seeing that Faramis picked up over by Weeping and then comboed with Wu on the Rafaela, that double support trifecta. They have 3 supports on their team.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting, right, to say the least, with those 3 supports. Now, Carmilla and Faramis, I have seen this pairing before. It's a pretty nice combo, right? Whenever Carmilla is unlocked and some of those other picks aren't available to get picked up along with it, like that Kaja and whatnot, you can always opt in for a Faramis pairing. Faramis and Carmilla go really hand in hand together, play very well. But with that Rafaela in play, right, that is, like you said, 3 supports, gonna obviously make you lack some things inside your composition. And in this case, right, besides Yukinon on this Leslie, they don't have a lot of range. They really got to commit, get up close and personal, right? To make any of these skills connect, they have to group, right, for the Cult Altar to even be taken into effect, and have to remain together, right? Because with those adjustments of the Cult Altar, now once you step out of the radius of it initially from Faramis, you no longer get that shield, that extra HP. So definitely forced to clump up in the playstyle, and that might play into the hands of Peter on this Eve. Even though that area of effect for the reward of manipulation has been reduced, the playing field, right, the maneuverability for the side of Huevo will be a little, nerfed a bit from their own composition, so it might fall right into the hands of that setup. Speaking of setups here, though, we do see a little bit of action here in the mid lane. Ash getting forced back after trying to provide a little bit of vision in that river bush to side of Weeping and Wu, with a lot of poke there, right, to offer. That's one thing, though, with all these supports, you do have a lot of poke and a lot of sustain in the side of Huevo.
Now, a lot of sustain, but kind of lacking in terms of damage. You're putting a lot in the hands of Yuki and YZ to kind of keep those fights going, but they do have the supports to kind of rely on to keep them in the fight. And you also have Yuzong with that Shaw Essence, so that's a lot of heals and a lot of utility in terms of support. But the question is, looking at the side of Novacore, they have a lot more damage. You have that Leomord rushing in with that Shadow Stampede. You have the AoE slow and also damage that Peter can provide on that Eve. You have the late game Blazing Duet Claude in effect as well. So it's going to be a battle of damage versus a battle of support. But the question is, which one can outstand the other?
I mean, it's exactly what you just said there. It will depend on who can outlast, and that obviously goes into the favor of Huevo. Speaking of things going in the favor of Huevo here.
You do see Shadow Stampede activated, a little bit of momentum for some poke damage, but not able to really make the most of it. able to escape, though, at least in that process. Leomord did not fall on that trade, but you are seeing a heavy groupage and heavy rotation from the side of Huevo and a little bit of displacement in terms of Novacore for positioning right now. And if they don't maintain that pressure, you might be seeing Huevo kind of have an easier time on these neutral objectives.
Definitely could see easier time coming in this favor of Huevo. For these initial objectives, they definitely have the utility, right? With 3 supports means a lot of useful ultimates. Speaking of ultimates being forced right now,
you do see Shaw Essence going in. That's Dino with the heavy aggression. You do see Turtle going into the hand of Huevo. First Blood activated, as you do see that picked up by Rafaela, but a request for a pause. A little bit of a technical difficulties over on the side of Huevo. So maybe just a little bit of a disconnect there. But man, oh man, we've got a match on our hands. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Huevo, the King Slayers, top 32 in a team, versing Novacore, a top 32 team as well, and also their first match ever in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. But without wasting any time, we are jumping back into the game. There's able to get a kill on to Leomord with that Shadow Stampede, or actually Shadow Stampede on Leomord, not able to keep him alive. And Huevo on the aggressive play, rumor manipulation going down, trying to give some zonage on the red buff. You do see the heavy pressure from the side of Huevo, trying to rush in and take out Peter. Forced on the recall. Shaw Essence not able to connect on the mark to take him down. But speaking of takedowns, Dino in a hard position, rushing in on the full team of Huevo, able to get 1. Does he get 2? Oh no, you do see a double kill by Leomord to kind of combo with it, and 2 members on the side of Huevo fall in that process, evening out the kills 3-3.
Yeah, and if these members are getting caught out from the side of Huevo, so we're getting caught out here. You see Peter land and find that kill right in the mid lane on Wu. If they are able to pick off these picks right from the side of Huevo, their strength lies in numbers, right? A lot of utility, but they need to be grouped up and ready to layer that on to survive the onslaught, the damage, right? We did note out the damage that Nova does have the edge over on. If they can stack up and be able to out-sustain that, they will fall to the hands a lot of this damage. Speaking of things falling, we do see some important items getting picked up from the side of Novacore, right? DHS already going into the hands of Claude right before the 4-minute mark. A super important item for Claude. We know that Lapu picking up that Bloodlust Axe. We've seen Dino commit some very aggressive plays that are going to help him be able to sustain some damage from the side of Huevo and these engages, some more durability, and we've seen it be very durable, right? We've seen when Yukinon had this in his hand earlier, when it was sustained those 1v2s, 1v3s. Speaking of 1v3s,
oh my goodness, the Fatal Links in full effect with the rumor manipulation over there by Peter, and 3 members go down for the side of Huevo. A well-synchronized combination of utility for the side of Novacore, and that will allow them to push in this turtle with no contest, and now it is a 7-3 lead in terms of kills, in terms of gold, up 1,000 in the blink of an eye. It's insane how fast Novacore can turn the tide of a situation.
Absolutely. I mean, we're kind of seeing another hole, right, in the aspect of Huevo's comp. 3 supports, but none that can really go for these checks, right? You can't really bush check and make sure your team is clear for these rotations against Ash with this Atlas. By the time, right, Raphaelia is in range to kind of reveal with that S1 there to give some vision, you're already in range for Fatal Link. Speaking of in range here,
you do see a clash going in on the mid lane as Peter tries to dive into that tower using that rumor manipulation. Blazing Duet activated, but not connecting to any members on the side of Huevo. A little bit early proc for that ultimate, and it looks like they are able to fend off that tower. But man, Novacore not wasting any time, trying to quickly dispose of Huevo for game 1, but Huevo maintaining that defense. They have not lost any towers, even though it is 3-7. Huevo knowing to kind of focus these objectives, but they were able to take a tower on the bottom side as Claude did lose that gold tower for the bottom lane.
Did lose that gold tower, but looking to trade it out now. No one from the side of Huevo there to defend that tower, and members of Nova moving in right, ready for this ambush, led it by Nova Ash.
Oh, you do see the flicker rushing in on Nova Ash to get that set on to Yuki, and Claude able to get that kill. What a play. You do see Nova Ash on fire, and this is what we kind of said. Not really a direct answer for the Atlas, and he's having a really easy time rushing in for the sets, but we have to give it to the side of Nova Corps on making the most of it. Even in the mid lane, we've seen kind of a drive-by with Nova Ash to kind of get that flicker fatal links, and right by him was Peter to secure that kill in a similar situation on the bottom side.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a little more action here on this mid lane real world manipulation coming down here.
Ooh, you see the Cold Altar activated, but quickly disposed of. Rito getting a kill, shutting down Leomord, a double kill. Yuki getting a kill onto Nova Ash. Huevo in the advantage now as 4 members go down for the side of Nova Corps, just as we were giving them the praise, and now Dino forced to fight the full team of Huevo. The dynamic force is too much for him to handle, and Rito able to secure that kill with that Carmilla jungle. Now 4-2-4 KDA, and it looks like Huevo is starting to pick up the tide, and they're starting to turn this game in their favor, but still a very close game indeed, even in gold, and only a 1 kill difference in favor of Nova Corps.
Definitely no budge on the gold, both going even right now. I think maybe up by like 200 gold for the side of Huevo. But like you noted earlier, you pointed out earlier, I'm going to point it out again, right? Peter using that real-world manipulation maybe a little prematurely, right? Once it's off the board and it's gone away, the members of Huevo can now stage their assault, right? All they do is get by Ash, you know, say deal with the fatal links. But once that's gone, there's no more like real AoE follow-up. Right, everyone else is trying to dive in, but now, right, the side of Huevo can use that utility they have to survive it. Right, you have the Cursed Blood, right, the links to kind of close in on those members trying to dive in. You have the Cult Altar, right, Holy Baptism from the Raffaello to be able to offer some CC, and then also the sustain, right? So they can definitely deal with them once Peter's ultimate is out of the way, and that's exactly what's happening. Speaking of ultimates here, though.
Oh my goodness, that Atlas Fatal Links drive-by in the combination of the real-world manipulation to secure those kills, and down goes the mid tower for the side of Huevo, and they are forced on the retreat. There's a pop in the Black Dragon trying to rush in, trying to drop on and get a kill. Weeping taking out the Leomord, and down goes Nobody-chan. You do see Dino getting a tower in that process over on the top lane, but Yuki taking out Atlas. Down goes the Roam. The phenomenal force of the Fatal Links is not in the presence of the Land of Dawn for the next 12 seconds, and the question is, how will Huevo respond? They need to kind of push up the lane. It looks like the pressure from Nova Corps right now is still being maintained, and the real manipulation keeping Weeping in place as Dino quickly rushes down to burst him with that Bravest Fighter stance. But man, oh man, we gotta say, now 10-12, even though it's such a close game, these towers are falling left and right, and you're seeing a slight kind of turnaround. It's like really back and forth on who is keeping the tempo and maintaining the pressure of today's match.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of pressure here, though, we do see some more action.
I think these teams have some prior history, because this is a lot of fighting. It's like every time they see each other, they're fighting it out. But Yuki able to get a kill onto Nova Ash. You do see real manipulation going down. Durza trying to get the kill onto the back line. You do see Claude able to secure that kill as well. Peter taking out Durza, leaving only Weeping alone to defend, and Dino trying to get the wipe out and able to secure it. While this is happening, though, Nobody-chan wasting no time at all is going to go ahead and take this Lord, as Dino taking advantage of the separation, taking advantage of the wipeout, is going to go ahead and push this inner mid turret.
Definitely, and like you said, there's definitely some history between these teams, right? Ranked history, obviously going into the side of Huevo's, going to the side of Huevo's hand. Wu does secure a kill there with the Raphaelia after the side of Nova picks up that Lord. But yeah, bad blood in between these two teams, looking to make a statement.
Oh, that was a 4-man set with the Fatal Links in the real manipulation of Peter. What a play by Nova Ash, but will they be able to get the kills out of it? You do see Weeping taking out the Atlas. Play not over, though. Dino rushing in, taking out Durza. A 1-for-1 trade, a 2-for-2 trade. Actually, 2 members are down for both sides, but still Nova Corps on the opposing side of the map, maintaining that foothold as Lord is making his way down the bottom side. And I gotta say, even though Huevo is kind of keeping up to par with these fights, they are slowly losing their pressure, slowly losing the map piece by piece.
Definitely losing it piece by piece. Speaking of piece by piece here, Nova trying to put the pieces together to go ahead and siege these towers. Have that lore down in the bot lane, minions in the mid and top side looking to siege these towers. Real world manipulation coming down from the side of them right now. They aren't going to be able to secure any towers, though, as far as inhibitors go with that lord.
And we've seen kind of Huevo fresh off of a win for Series 2 against Dark Immortals, but a little bit of a different story as we've seen a team with a little bit of a higher caliber of gameplay, giving them some trouble as they are down to their inhibitors. But the question is, will the battle sustainability, the battle of support, be able to outlive the damage dealers that the side of Novacore has today? And right now, like we said, we are in the 11-minute mark, and it is a harder time for the side of Huevo.
Absolutely a hard time for Huevo. Something we're not familiar too often with Huevo. But speaking of hard times here, let's take a look at these items and see what's kind of giving the side of Huevo a problem. We do see Hunter Strike, Bloodlust, and Malefic already being picked up from the side of Nobody Trying on this Liam. A lot of damage, a lot of penetration there. We do see Peter with that Ice Queen wand, right? A lot of utility in that item, especially on the Eve with that Enchanted Talisman and Glowing Wand. Definitely going to keep the CDRs low and the damage high. Also, something to note, we see Nova Ash with a fleeting time for those ultimates. Speaking of ultimates, though.
Able to proc it and get a set, and Dino wasting no time taking out Rito. Wu getting taken out by Claude. Yuki taking out Claude in the process. A marksman taking out a marksman. You do see Limo rushing in, getting a kill, leaving only Yuki to defend against 4 members of Novacore, and they do have the advantage. River manipulation for the zoners, for the slow. Dino able to secure that kill over there on the Lapu Lapu, and ladies and gentlemen, weeping may not be enough. He is gonna pull in Peter before they take the tower, but game goes to Novacore for match 1. But like we said, this is a best of 3, and the question is, can Huevo remain in there and not allow Novacore to take the sweep?
Definitely, you don't want to let them get the sweep here, but for the side of Novacore, gotta be impressed with them, right? Their first match in the Scrim Academy against a team, allegedly, that they were losing to today in a bit of a best of 3 little mini-series, and Rank today coming out here and showing that it doesn't matter once you enter into the Academy. Any team can win on any given night. It just depends on whose micro and macro is up to par and who's executing right off these compositions.
Definitely, making the most out of their draft. And I got to give it to Ash. Definitely the playmaker. Didn't get MVP, and I feel like sometimes tanks aren't given the appropriate justice. And this is definitely a case of that. We demand a retrial over there for Nova Ash on that silver medal, as we've seen a lot of good placements with the Fatal Links. And then a direct response from almost every single member from the side of Novacore. I will give it to Huevo, though. They were able to hang in there for a little bit, but I think they just had a little bit too much support at their disposal, and that was where they had a little bit of a harder time winning those clashes. But like we said, this is a best of 3. It is not over. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Huevo versus Novacore, 2 top 32 teams for North America. And without wasting any more time, we are going to jump straight back in to the draft.
Yes, and after seeing that first game with Wheezy, I mean, what do you think, right, about Novacore right now against Huevo? Do you think they could maybe repeat that performance? Do you think they might overpower Huevo right now in the matchups? Do you think maybe what Rem said earlier might be the case? Maybe Huevo toying with them, maybe trying to give them a chance to show what they have and see if they're really an opponent worth their, 100% effort?
This is interesting because I feel like the way Novacore drafts is not something we're traditionally seeing from a lot of teams on the MLSA, and I think it's a harder read for the side of Huevo on how to respond. You do see Atlas being banned out from the side of Novacore for the first ban, which is a little bit newer for us to see as well for the MLSA. Huevo kind of going more with the Ordinator, taking out that Fanny. But like I said, this is a team with a high hero pool. And when you have a high hero pool and you have good micro, you have good macro, good synergy, you are very hard to kind of counter. And I think right now Huevo is going to have to be very wise on what they draft. Maybe get a little bit more damage in their hands to be able to turn the tide. They were kind of neck and neck for the most part, but as soon as these clashes started going more into the favor of Novacore, you've seen a huge gap, and it was definitely the damage at play. So I will say if we have a little bit more damage, maybe a little bit better answer for that Eve to kind of shut her down, and an answer for that Atlas, you know, that's kind of where they were lacking at. They didn't have the appropriate answer for Atlas, and they didn't really have anybody to stop Eve. Even though they had to use Zong, we just didn't really see those real-world manipulations having any problem rushing in. But on the side of Nova Corps, you know, are they going to slide it again? They have first pick now, so are they going to go for that Eve? It looks like they're comfortable with that Yuzong being slotted because they kind of picked that Eve prior to the XP lane being shown. So it looks like they're not even worried about it, and you might be right on the money about that with the Yuzong not able to kind of stop that real world manipulation anymore, as only the suppression can kind of do it. But we are looking at the bans being finalized on the side of Nova Corps 4. The first phase, and they take out the Carmilla, the Wanwan, the Atlas, and it looks like maybe a little bit of things at their disposal. So we see the Kaja available, and also the Martis and Leomord. Oh, nope. Leomord taken off the board.
Definitely. If I'm Nova, I'm looking to pick up Kaja right here, and I would gladly give Martis over to the side of Weibo. And true to words, they do lock in that Kaja. I would expect the side of Weibo to now lock in the Martis in response, but also might be wise not to take it in there, right? Obviously, high risk, high reward now when you're going up against a Kaja, but they're going to take the risk and they lock in the Martis. But to also be noted, they did lock in Valentina. So that does mean that Divine Judgment is now on the board for both teams now that it is up. But Beatrix and Lapu Lapu also up on the board now, being slotted from the side of Nova, sticking to the theme of that damage.
Now, this is interesting. Again, Dino on that Lapu Lapu, and we've seen him with the heavy cuts, the heavy focus, not afraid to do a 1v3 situation, and definitely a master of his craft. Jolie over there on Beatrix. Now, you got to watch out as Beatrix, you know, scales over time, gets that Blade of Despair as well to be able to deal some serious damage. And that's something Huevo's going to have to look out for. They still have marksmen at their disposal to kind of pick to counter it. So I'm really interested to see what they choose. But do we see the Cho being slotted? Now, something interesting to note out. We haven't seen Cho used, I want to say, barely at all today. But last week, the first week of MLSA, he was almost slotted every single game. But there we go. Yuki taking up that Leslie, one of the most picked marksmen for the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy.
Definitely one of the most picked, but Beatrix is also rising up, right, as one of the most picks. I wasn't expecting Beatrix to kind of get her place back really in kind of that priority picks stage, but over the last couple events, right, we have seen Beatrix get picked up quite a bit, and she's actually not doing too bad right now. I'll have to go and finish up the statistics after tonight. I might showcase and maybe post it out later, but I think Beatrix is up there on the win rate side, might be passing over the 60% area. I do know where I left off. She's actually been picked up this week in, I believe, about 80%, which is also going to rise 80% of the matches, but definitely on the rise now. We've seen her more and more tonight.
I definitely think after watching the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, a lot of marksmen are going to pick the Beatrix, especially if Jolie can perform on it. As we've seen Nova Corps kind of dominate in game one. Huevo having a harder time maintaining that focus and pressure as, you know, we were creeping toward that mid to late game. But a little bit of a different story now. Huevo does have some damage at their disposal. They have Yuki to kind of scale in that late game damage over there on Leslie. They have Weeping to kind of guarantee that early game, that horrify, that slow on those who do decide to kind of rush in and invade. They have Rito over there on the Martis, and not just any Martis, a Martis jungler. And we know how well he can kind of perform in that role. Definitely hard to kind of contest and stop on those turtles. And if your team is even near a slither of HP, he's going to rush in with that decimation and get those kills. But like we said, Nobody Chan locking in that Kaja. And Deku, we made the mistake. Okay, I'll take fault at it. We back in the day, we drafted and Kaja and Martis were available. And, you know, I want to run Martis. But well, we quickly learned never pick Martis over Kaja in a draft. But maybe today Rito might have another plan. So I want to see how this kind of fares off, as this is possibly a Kaja in the jungle versus a Martis in the jungle. See, our story was different. It was Kaja versus Martis XP lane. So I don't know. Well, but still similar situation. Both playing the same role and going to be going against each other at the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm never going to budge on that, at least currently where things are right now with both of these characters. Unless something happens in the patches, obviously Kaja had got a little recent nerf, but so did Martis. And I don't think either one really fell off from where they were at in terms of position in the meta. And even while they're going into the jungle, Kaja is still, in my opinion, wins out on paper. But again, this comes down to the level of execution, right? It doesn't matter how good the picks are. The user behind them is ultimately what's going to determine how they fare out in these matches. We're going to fare out. Though we do see Durza has unlocked the high-lows, and that's definitely going to the XP lane. Definitely a signature pick for him. He hasn't used it a lot recently, but it looks like they're going back to their old ways. Maybe Nova forcing out the best from Wavo as they took quite a little loss there in this first match. But Peter picking up the Xavier. He's also I forgot where Peter's from. Peter's really a import player. He's not originally from NA, but he was a Supreme Xavier from whatever area he was from. I can't think of it right now. But he's very fluent on this Xavier pick, so that should be something to look out for. If it's anything like his Eve, Wavo's definitely in for some trouble here.
Oh, speaking of trouble, Nova Ash locking in that Minotaur, a roam we haven't really seen it too often for the MLSA, but doesn't mean it's not a valid option. And I love the creativity that Nova Core is bringing to the table. And this is why we like to see new teams compete, right? You don't want to see the same old story every single time. And this is one of the beautiful things that the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy kind of provides. And I love to see these teams kind of getting creative with the draft. But I will say, on the side of Wavo, you mentioned Durza over there on that Hylos, and I love it. We've been seeing him running the XP lane on it, kind of do it all. We've been seeing Durza really good at flex picks as well. So this is definitely an interesting thing indeed. If anybody can pull it off, it's definitely Durza. But the double tank situation, kind of similar to that triple roam, they are going to lock in that Bellaric, possibly Bellaric roam, and like we said, Durza for that Hylos in the XP lane.
Can I just say something real quick here with that middle pick? So Ash usually is actually global Minotaur, but I don't know if he's gonna play it because I did see them switch here. So that's something to keep in mind.
He is global. I think I forgot where he is on global. I know he's a Supreme 1. I don't know where he is on global anymore. But yeah, Ash has been a long time a Supreme wielder and global user on that Minotaur. So we'll, but it's not going into his hand. It's going into Nobody Chan's hand. So we will see how they fare with that in the jungle here tonight.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a show as we are watching two top 32 North American teams compete. And they are putting on a fight. Now, game one went into the hands of Novacore. I wouldn't say the easiest win, but a win is a win, which will put Huevo in that awkward position as if they lose this game, they will be swept in the series of 3. So Huevo definitely need to play a little bit more patient and make sure that they kind of close out this game with minimal mistakes. As Novacore starting to make their way up the tier list for the teams in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy.
Yeah, definitely. But here we are seeing a little bit of action here in the mid lane. A lot of poke going on. Peter getting dropped dangerously low. Gonna have to burn out that flicker there nice and early from the side of Wavo. And that's simply what you want to see.
Ooh, but Lethal Wanderer does go to the side of Novacore in that process. But over in the bottom lane, like we said, Durza running that Hylos. But wait, in the mid lane, not wasting a breath, Weeping rushing in, taking advantage of the low HP Xavier and able to get first blood.
Definitely picking up that first blood over there on Peter. And a lot of that comes from burning out that spell early, right? When you are able to get rid of those utility spells, it opens up opportunity for those later on engages, which for Wavo didn't take long at all to capitalize on the burning of that flicker. Now we do see them obviously with a little bit of rotation up here to this top lane. Rito already on 4. A little action there in the mid. Now we see Weeping dropping low. These teams are definitely banging it out right now. Not scared to get into a little bit of a scuffle. And these mages are going being forced into some uncomfortable positions. Neither team scared to let it all out here. Obviously, Weibo going to fight desperately hard there. If they lose this match, they will be knocked out from this series and swept. Speaking of swept, though, as we transition now, the turtle has been spawned in. The side of Weibo starting to rotate down. Novacore also matching them, but we've been getting dropped low again ahead of this turtle. Not a good position. Going to be forced to recall. The numbers are going to go into the favor of Novacore. All they have to do is group here with their XP, and they'll have the 4v3 for this turtle.
You do see Valentina coming from the backside to try and help. Hylos using the glorious path is going to try and provide some zonage, and Rito able to secure that turtle with that play. A wise decision indeed from the side of Durza. Fight going down, no. Did they overextend? Can they also take some kills out of this trade? The Minoan Fury being activated over there by Minotaur on the side of Novacore, but able to secure only one kill in that process. Is down goes Durza, and I feel like that was an okay trade for the side of Fuevos. They were able to take that turtle, but fight on the top side of the serious damage over there and aggression by Jolie on the Beatrix. In the mid lane though, Weeping kind of playing a little aggressive with the low HP, maybe knowing that the Dawning Light is not available, because if it was, might have been a double kill in the mid lane.
Definitely. I mean, neither one of these teams are willing to give an inch there. Even on that turn right, the proper call would have been for Weeping the back, but insisting on pushing up with his team for that turtle, obviously playing cautiously in that bush, but they're not looking to give up anything right now. Even with low HP, they're looking to contest these neutrals up against Novacore. And I mean, you have to respect the spirit in the fight from Weibo, and especially for coming out on top. They did win that turtle, did give us some kills there, but did not give it up with any contest.
Ooh, Minoan Fury used a little bit early, trying to get the CC on to Yuki. Dawning Light missing by a hair, and Yuki is able to recall in that process. But man, oh man, Wu and Rito on the defense, not trying to allow the proxy of the lane for the side of Novacore on the top side, and both teams deciding to disengage and then kind of reformulate their strategy.
Definitely, but a little bit of action forming here in the bot lane.
Dino trying to go in with the Bravest Fighter stance. Glorious Pathway, providing some slow, forcing the flicker out, but he will be able to live in that trade. Man, Durza just showing his mastery over there on the Hylos, and this is what we kind of said. Starting to go more for those comfort picks, those stronger, higher win rate heroes, as Huevo's not playing no games. They know there's a lot on the line, and they need to take this game to even out the series.
Definitely. Speaking of things need to be taken here, the turtle has spawned, and both teams again jockeying for position for this neutral objective.
Dawning Light going down by Peter. Rito able to secure another turtle with that retribution. You do see the stun over there. Ring of Order by Kaja. Oh my goodness, Nobody-chan getting taken out by Rito, but they are not done. Jolie able to get a tower in the fight.
Ooh.
Nova rushing in onto Rito though, making him pay for taking one of their members down. A 1-for-1 trade, but in the mid lane, you are seeing Peter kind of trying to clear these minions, while Beatrix, taking advantage of the separation on the map, takes that top tower.
Definitely, and because of taking those towers, let's go ahead and take a look at these items. I did catch Jolie did pick up that Blade of Despair already nice and early on the Beatrix. A lot of damage going to be coming out from the side of Jolie there with the Beatrix. We do see Clock of Destiny also being picked up from Xavier. Going to fit nice into as they transition into the mid game, right? Also into that late game for the scaling. Those stacks are going to come in handy to add on to that AP power for that Dawning Light, right? And as well, the Bloodlust already picked up for Dino on the Lapu. We've seen him perform on it already now with it unlocked. But speaking of things being unlocked,
the Divine Judgment with the flicker, but Jolie able to dash out of it, wasting the full kit of Kaja in that play. Dawning Light going down the mid lane, taking some serious damage to the side of Huevo, but fight not over. Down goes Rito. The Mirror's Passion going in. Nobody-chan forced to use the Minoan Fury for the CC. Glorious Pathway going in the mid lane as well onto the tower. Durza trying to peel off the full team of Novacore from pushing in this tower, but you do see the ultimate sniper. You do see that going in, trying to get a kill, unable to, as the heavy defensive wall provided by the full team of Novacore keeps Jolie alive. Dawning Light going in, though. Do some AoE damage. They are going to go for this tower. Will they be able to secure it as a full team of Huevo is there to defend? And yes, they do! Oh my goodness. You do see Lapu rushing in, pulled in with the Divine Judgment, and then rushing out with the Flicker. What a play. What? Glorious Pathway going in by Durza. Both teams barely hanging on by a thread. Yuki getting a kill on to Minotaur. Down goes their roam. A double kill. Leslie on fire. Now 2-0-0. Able to win off of that trade, forcing Novacore on the retreat. But again, a little bit of separation. Dino going back to that bottom side. 4-4. 7 minutes in. Pretty much even in kills, but in terms of towers, Novacore looking very strong.
Definitely looking very strong. And from the side of Huevo, not looking too shabby themselves, right? Have lost a little bit. Ooh, speaking of losing there, it does look like Joel's going to lose his life up there, being careless with his positioning on the Beatrix. Definitely not what you want to see. You don't want Yukinon to be able to catch up. Yukinon is also 2-0-1 and definitely getting in a nice position to be able to put his team in a spot to where they can comfortably fight back. Speaking of fights here, we do see Ash and Chance kind of poke check over there in the top lane against Yuki, but we do see the turtle getting picked up by Rito inside of Huevo, finding opportunities somewhere on the map to be able to trade this back out with Novacore here. Novacore kind of being cornered. We have seen that Divine Judgment swing things, right? Weeping, like I said, they use that IMU to return that same powerful ultimate that Nova walked in for the first pick is also being used right back against them when they go for these engages. If Weeping can keep finding these important pickoffs, they can create a lot of opportunity for their team.
You do see the Revitalize being used, the Glorious Pathway, but Durza still staying in the fight, but will not have that ultimate at his disposal if Novacore decides to engage. Both teams kind of playing it safe, 4-5 right now. Kind of a little bit of a smart decision as they realize a lot is on the line. You are seeing Novacore try and take a sweep over on Huevo, but the question is, can they close it out? Huevo, not your team that kind of allows these early finishes, definitely pays attention to micro. And I want to say, Huevo has one of the best epic comebacks we've ever seen in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy. So we got to definitely put it in their favor on the defensive side of things. But Novacore, kind of that wild card, is this their first series ever in the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy, and they're trying to climb their way up the tier list. Ooh, but you do see Divine Judgment with the Flicker, getting the suppression on a Weeping. Weeping getting out, going back in. You do see Wu taking some serious damage over there on the Belleric, though. Yuki able to take out Dino. Fighting out over, though, as Leslie providing some serious damage now and forcing Novacore on the retreat. Glorious Pathway by Durza to provide some additional movements before the team. You do see Dawn and Light not able to really connect onto the side of Huevo, and they are going to start clearing these minions. They are going to go for this push. They are going to go for that fight. You do see Nobody-chan on the Minotaur, has it possible in Minoan Fury for the CC set, but down goes Peter, but they were able to stop that push on the tower. But while this is happening, Lord has spawned in the game, and it looks like Huevo may be prepping for a split push of minions and zonage on this objective. But while that is going on, Novacore with a similar plan, as you do see Dino on the bottom side, and both teams decide to possibly go in for the fight. A concealed play, rushing in, Ring of Order for the AoE damage. Whoa, a little too early on the Minoan Fury by Nobody-chan, and if I was Huevo, this is the time. They wasted one of their key sets for their team. Jolie able to get a kill on Durza. Yuki getting a kill on to Nova. Both marksmen able to land something for their team. You do see Novacore forced on the retreat, though. Jolie able to get a kill onto Weeping. Down goes the mage for the side of Huevo. Yuki getting an additional kill, able to take out Jolie. Man, oh man, these backlines are dropping left and right, and it looks like they are going to go for this Lourdes Huevo in that awkward situation. They don't have the zonage anymore in their favor, and it looks like without wasting a breath, Novacore is going to go in for it with the taunt provided by Dino. He is going to rush in and try and be a distraction. This is what we said about Dino on the Lapu deck. We said this man will 1v3 anybody. He knows his role. He knows he needs to be that distraction for his team to take that neutral objective, and this is exactly what he did. Ultimate Sniper going in, trying to take him off, trying to kind of pick him out as he runs away, but not enough damage, and away he goes. But Lord going into the favor of Novacore.
Definitely going in their favor, obviously, as it's pushing down in the bot lane. Both teams with all their members up, we're definitely in store for a fight. somewhere maybe in that mid lane, I suppose. We do see the side of Wavo currently stacked up there, maybe looking for a pick off, maybe looking up for an engage from the side of Rito, but going to get revealed from Peter. It can still coming in. Both these teams, like I said, looking for an engage. Imminent there. Ash getting burnt out from the flicker, not going to find anything, but that Lord still pushing down in the bot side, and with them and Fury passive stacked all the way up, we can see a fight happening here on this siege.
Yeah, you do see a siege indeed, but the question is, who will it work in favor of? You do see the Glorious Pathway activated by Durza as Wavo in the full defensive stance, trying to hold off Novacore from pushing the bottom side, and they're able to clear all of the minions, and now Novacore has more minions at their disposal. They are not done. The push continues. They are trying to take this inhibitor, and do they get it? You do see Rainer in full effect over there by Beatrix, one of the key reasons what makes her a phenomenal marksman. But over on the mid lane, you do see a push for that inner turret. They are going to be able to take it, and down it goes, and at the same time, simultaneously, the bottom inhibitor goes down as well. But now the question is, does the side of Novacore retreat, or do they want to stay and fight that fight with minions in their favor? They may be able to take another inhibitor in this clash.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're really sure about where they need to be right now, but at least for once they are being patient. Nobody Shane holding on to that ult for quite some time now. Had a few opportunities where it might have paid off, but it looks like he's stalling and making sure it's going to be the perfect opportunity. Speaking of perfect opportunity, Jolie getting facilitated by Peter here. They are looking for the siege now.
Ooh, and here goes the siege. Nobody trying able to get a kill on Rito. Down goes Martis. They are down there weeping as well. Ooh. Fight not over though. You do see Beleric in a hard situation. Oh my goodness, Peter with the diving light onto Durza as he tries to run into the base. Jolie getting a kill onto Wu, leaving only Yuki to defend with the ultimate sniper, but the wall of defense from the side of Novacore keeping Dino alive. Oh my goodness, the CC, the flicker, the kill, and down goes all members of Wavo in game, goes to the opposing side. What a play from Novacore, their first series ever on the MLSA, and taking out the Kingslayers with a sweep.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy, right? Novacore first appearance coming into the Scrim Academy and sweeping one of the premier tonight. Especially after Wavo kind of redeemed themselves a little bit. They did get to have a nice series against Dark Immortals, kind of a sloppy series, but getting those wins nonetheless, right? But now facing another stiff team, they suffer another defeat. Wavo not having the greatest week against these teams that are kind of known in the community, especially having performed in the NACT. Nova, a team also in that same realm of Wavo, kind of in that top 32 area, but gonna prove to themselves tonight and to everyone else they have what it takes to come into the academy and show themselves as a winner.
No, I definitely love they're actually showing some justice to Nobody-chan this time. You got silver with the Atlas, but this time got the MVP over on that Minotaur. And like we said, the tank has just been everywhere. He's had such a strong presence for the team. And I definitely think in terms of, you know, those key things to kind of look out for when you're going against Novacore, watch out for Nobody-chan. Watch out for the sets. Kind of probably draft around giving that tank a harder time to create that opportunity for the team. But like we said, that is going to be game, guys. That is going to be the end of the series for today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. For those who don't know, we have been casting. We have opened up officially the MLSA. We are on week 2, day 2. And man, what an insane turnout. I do got Coach Deku on my side doing the play-by-play and the analyst, also part of the MLSA staff. Appreciate you, my man. Definitely doing a great job.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, man, we got some videos to do, Deku. We got to figure out a tier list of what we rate these teams. And now that Novacore jumped in there, oh man, this is about to get crazy. We just need to see the Simpsons play. Maybe some other teams like No Morals probably jump in there and then continue to progress. Guys, if you guys are new here, though, I appreciate y'all being here. My name is Wheezy. I'm your host today. Deku also being the MLSA staff and caster coach. Pretty much jack of all trades. Definitely check him out. Guys, if you are brand new, though, and you want to be a part of these events, you want to play professionally, and you have a team ready, or if you don't have a team ready, join us on the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy as we provide all of these services. We want to get you guys to the best potential that you have, that hidden potential. I know it's there, and we can definitely find it. But the only way to find it out is by joining us on the Mobile Legends Scrim Academy Discord server. That way you can register yourself, your team, and start playing professionally. The whole goal and focus for this is to get teams ready for NA and PL and future upcoming leagues. We do King of the Hill Monday through Thursday, which starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time and goes through the last remaining team. And what King of the Hill is a best of one winning squad stays on. So it's kind of like King of the Court for basketball. So definitely going to be intense. Definitely tune in tomorrow for that, as we will continue that pressure, continue this casting, and watch these amazing teams fight it out. And then also on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have scheduled scrims, which is what you saw today. We have a schedule available that's posted every single Sunday, and there's 3 best of 3 series, and you will be able to sign up your team for whatever spots are available. But it is first come, first serve, so definitely sign in sooner than later and get your teams registered. On top of that, guys, we are giving a class on Friday, every single Friday, on the Mobile Legends North American Discord server to kind of go over the basics, the mechanics for those solo players, and also more advanced tactics for those future prospects and past top 32 teams. So, guys, I appreciate y'all, man. Make sure you tune in till tomorrow, King of the Hill. And then from there, if you are any casters out there, we are looking for casters. Definitely reach out, man. As sometimes this old man needs a break. You know, I'm sure Deku might need a break too, man. Deku gonna start looking like he's my age soon. Keeping up all this tempo. But, guys, I appreciate y'all, man. Hopefully I see you guys on the next one. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and see you guys next time. Peace and love!